The Still Loading podcast is brought to you by the wonderful people on Patreon. Amazing people like Gilmer, Kevin from the Bit by Bit Foundation, Matt aka Stormageddon, Pib Extra, Melissa S, Ryan K, Stephen P, and Mr. Biscuits have all been wonderful enough to support the show over there. So if you would also like to get your name read at the beginning of an episode, along with a bunch of other goodies, go over to patreon.com/stillloadingpod and check out everything it has to offer. On this episode of Still Loading, hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Still Loading podcast. I'm your host, Josh Koval, and today's episode, it's a new game? Question mark. I never do new games on this podcast. Well, this is actually, I think, the second year in a row, sometime in the midst of like the late spring, early summer, I've done a game that came out within a calendar year of the episode coming out. This episode is all about your favorite archaeologist, your favorite adventurer, your favorite mumbling actor, Harrison Ford. We're here to talk about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And joining me to not form a circle, but I guess form a triangle, because we got three, there's a total of three of us on this episode, but fuck it, we're close enough. We're going to start both first-time guests of the podcast. We're going to start off with one with the longest podcast title in the universe. We have Troy from TroytlePower Presents the Power Playthroughs podcast with TroytlePower - Let's Play Video Games, or easier to remember, Geek to Geek Media. Troy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing swell. It has been a good day. We have had a good pre-chat. I'm ready to talk about Indiana Jones.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear all of our adventures with this game, and I've been looking forward to this. I usually do a lot of retro content on the show, or like whatever kind of just piques my interest. So I'm always excited when I can talk about something that's a little bit newer, just because I don't want to pigeonhole myself with just going to retro. So I'm happy to cover a modern game on this one. So I'm happy to have you on for that. And joining us, or happy to have you on for this, I'm already losing the thread. Joining us, another new first-time guest, though I have been on podcasts with them before. We have Thrak from the 3DO Experience. Thrak, how are you doing today?
Hello, Josh. Thank you so much for having me. This is great. Yes, I'm here to talk about my favorite indie game. Yes. This is going to be great.
The only indie game, right? There's not actually, no, the LucasArts one is pretty good.
There's like a lot of indie games, yeah.
No, I was trying to be like the only indie game, right?
No, but I mean indie games.
Super
there's a lot of indie games.
Oh, yes.
Biggest
that too, yeah.
But like there was the Xbox one, and
I mean we can talk about roughly talk about the other Indiana Jones games up to this point.
I haven't played much of them. I haven't even played like the LucasArts Adventure one, so I don't have much to add, unfortunately.
Do you have anything, Troy?
I don't think I've played a minute of any other Indiana Jones game, actually.
Oh, I have.
I know,
because from what I've heard, they're not good.
Some of them are.
What about the last one that fucking the composer Gordy Hobb, the composer for this game, Gordy Hobb, which, side note, really enjoyed his score for this. His first video game credit, according to Wikipedia, is Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. I was so surprised. I was so surprised to see that.
See, this game, there's a Matt McMuscles video about the history of this game, because it was going to be like a PS3 360 game, and it was going to be more of like a Uncharted type of adventure, but with Indiana Jones. But the development kind of went haywire, and so it ended up being just like a Wii PS2 game. I've played a bit of it. It's okay. Maybe. Depends on who you ask. The best part of the game is you can unlock Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis after beating the game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
you get to play a better game after putting up with this game.
That's a
so that
good reward.
Yeah, because Fate of Atlantis is the classic point and click adventure that came out in the early 90s that was meant to be like a sequel to Last Crusade.
Isn't it the
And
LucasArts one, right?
yes, and it's
Yeah.
considered it for a long time. It was considered the best Indiana Jones game. And if you guys have not played Fate of Atlantis, those watching and all that, I recommend it. You can get it on Steam. You can get it on GOG. It's pretty easy to find, and it still holds up pretty well. Like some really good voice acting in that. And if you like the classic LucasArts style point and click adventure games, Fate of Atlantis is like a nice, like one of the better examples of that era of LucasArts. So it's pretty good.
It came out right after Monkey Island 2 and before Day of the Tentacle, so it was like the height of their like point and click adventure game time.
Yes,
and I think that's a good segue though, and since we're talking about the a very brief touch on the history of Indiana Jones in video games, which we're not going to dwell on too much. I didn't do a lot of research on it, but I do think at the very least we should all talk about our personal experiences with the archaeologist himself, like how we first either heard of Indiana Jones or partook in media involving Indiana Jones, watched the movies, I would assume. But let me throw it over to you, Troy. Like, just talk about your experience with Indiana Jones prior to this game.
I grew up on the Indiana Jones movies. They're like the Star Wars movies for me, where I don't remember a time where I didn't not only where I hadn't seen them, but where I didn't like have them almost memorized. So I was a huge Indiana Jones fan. I was absolutely pumped for number 4 before it came out, and then it came out, and I didn't like it. I'm still mad that it introduced aliens to the world of Indiana Jones, because I think that having this like weird world where mythology seems to all be some level of real is super cool, and then introducing aliens to that sucks, and having a character immediately say that they're not aliens, they're interdimensional beings, just made it more annoying to me, because it was like they knew that everyone would hate that they put aliens in it. So they were like, but it's not aliens. John Hurt said they're interdimensional beings, so it's okay. And then the 5th one came out, and I didn't get around to seeing it until I think I watched it after I played this game, and it was fine. It was a better send off. And also 4, I like 4 more now than I liked when I first saw it. I think it has a few very, very stupid things that kind of ruin the experience, but in there's some good Indiana Jones stuff in the 4th movie, but you do have to dig to get to it.
You do have to watch Shia LaBeouf for a little bit.
It's thematically appropriate that you have to dig to find the good bits.
There you go.
And Shia LaBeouf did fine. I don't think he needed to be there, but I think he did fine with what he was given.
Yeah, I didn't mind Shia LaBeouf. I actually never really understood the entire amount of hate that he got for that role. I understand why people don't like him in other movies or whatnot, but like in this one, I never thought he was that bad. Like, I think the writing crippled him more than his acting did.
Yeah.
But Thrak, over to you, your experience and your history with the archaeologist.
So Indiana Jones, I discovered at a young age. It was after I had discovered Star Wars. But I had heard of the name Indiana Jones. I think I heard it. It was around the time I was playing, like, say, Star Wars Battlefront or Mercenaries Playground of Destruction, because I think the first Mercenaries game, you can unlock Indiana Jones in it, which was cool.
Really? I didn't know that. I even have the first Mercenaries.
And Han Solo as well. I think it's like a code or something.
Cool.
And then I was able to rent all of the movies from my local library back in the day, watched them a bunch, and really liked the original trilogy. And still do. I rewatched them not that long ago, and they still hold up. Temple of Doom was the one I liked the most as a kid, but nowadays, I think I'm a Raiders guy. Like, Raiders and Crusade are both incredible films, but I think Raiders is better by like a hair. It's not by much.
I think for me, Raiders is a better movie, but I like Last Crusade better.
Crusade has Sean Connery. So
exactly. Like, that's just it's fun. It's it does the Indiana Jones formula better than Raiders does, even though Raiders created the formula. Like it is a little more playful, a little sillier. But I think Raiders is the better movie.
I think it's a case of like Raiders is like almost a perfect action adventure movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it hits all the beats, and still to this day, it resonates just as well as it ever did. And then Crystal Skull, I did not see it in theaters. I remember the backlash. The backlash was pretty intense at the time. If you guys remember the South Park episode, which was also
I don't. I've never seen. I don't watch South Park, unfortunately.
It's weird. It was making fun of the backlash while also participating in it at the same time.
That's a very South Park thing to do.
Fence sitting South Park. Anyways, I watched it many years later. I've seen it like twice. I don't think it's really as bad as a lot of people say. It does have some issues, like the monkeys, the aliens. Some of that stuff is kind of weird. Like the CG is not very strong in that film. And I think the hate for Shia LaBeouf was just because he was kind of everywhere at that time. Like he had just broke out of Even Stevens.
He was the Chris Pratt of the era.
Well, he was doing the Transformers movies, which were controversial movies, you know, at the time. I think they still are. And he was just kind of everywhere at that moment, but he's done some pretty good stuff more recently. There's a movie where he plays his like shitty father that I really liked.
I'm sorry, wait, hang on. He plays his shitty father?
I forget the name of the movie off the top of my head.
It's like a semi-autobiographical thing, right? Where like he is playing like what his dad did to him, and there's a different actor playing him as a young kid.
Yeah, basically. I'm trying to remember the name of the film, but it's really good. Like it was the movie that kind of made people go, "Oh yeah, he is pretty good." Because at the end of the day, he's just a weird indie guy doing indie films. Like if you look at his filmography, it's just a lot of weird shit. But in any case, Crystal Skull is fine. Like I don't even really think the aliens is that crazy. I think it's just the execution of it isn't done very well, and I think if they had like puppet aliens instead of like a CG alien, I think it would have worked better. And like having that one character constantly turning from a double agent to not was kind of stupid. I'm not here to break apart Crystal Skull, but Crystal Skull is whatever. It's whatever, right? It has some cool moments in it. And it was just nice to see Indiana Jones when Harrison Ford could still kind of do the role, because Dial of Destiny, I saw that in theaters and really did not like it.
Really? I enjoyed it.
It's, well, first of all, it doesn't have a competent director. No offense to James Mangold, but he is no Steven Spielberg.
No,
and if you go back and watch Crystal Skull and compare it to Dial of Destiny, you will notice a huge difference in like direction and pacing and keeping the plot on track and all that. It's almost like Spielberg knows what he's doing. But then,
I talked about how the fourth movie, Crystal Skull, I really disliked the first time I saw it, and then it's like warmed over time. I've just decided I don't think I'm ever going to watch Dial of Destiny again, because I liked it the one time I watched it, and I think I want to leave the Indiana Jones movie franchise on that positive note. I'll rewatch the original 3 over and over again my whole life, but I'm probably just never going to watch 4 and 5 again, because that way they both are like kind of positive in my mind.
I think my biggest issue with Dial of Destiny is that it doesn't play into his age as much as it should.
Yes, I agree.
That's for sure.
Like there are hints of it, but I remember, I think it was Red Letter Media said what they should have done was like have it be like an Indiana Jones sized adventure, and it's all about him just getting to his class lecture. because he's like so old, and it's like it has to be like a Raiders type adventure just to get there, you know.
That's why,
because it starts playing into his age, but then once they go on the adventure, it's like who cares, right? And then there's all of like the de-aging of him at the start of the film that I really don't like.
I'm not a fan of that either.
Yeah,
they did it well, but like, I'm still not a fan of it.
His character model in this game looks better than the one in the movie. Not even joking. But Dial of Destiny, it's not a great film, but it doesn't harm the series or anything like that. It's not the newest Star Wars films. But I still love Indiana Jones. I love the movies to death. And as far as the games go, I mean, I've talked about some of the games in the past. Like, I didn't talk about like the Raiders game for the Atari 2600, a very ambitious game for its era. You needed 2 Atari controllers to play it.
2 joysticks. Because one
Um,
That's
manage your
cool.
inventory and the other your
Moves indie.
player. Whatever. Yeah, moves
Yeah.
indie. Yeah.
And it's one of the rare Atari 2600 games you can beat as well. So there's that. I talked, of course, about Fate of Atlantis. There's a really great game called Indiana Jones Greatest Adventures on the Super Nintendo. That is a 2D platformer. It's a little Castlevania-y, but it follows the main beats of the original trilogy in a kind of difficult 2D platformer style, and it is fantastic. There was like the Infernal Machine, which was like kind of a Tomb Raider clone. Emperor's Tomb, which was the Xbox PS2 one that's more of just a straight up action adventure game.
Did you play Indiana Jones Adventure World?
Is that the PC one?
That is the Facebook game. It was the
No.
last Indiana Jones game before this one came out, and it was developed by Zynga.
The only Facebook game I ever played was 10 Minutes of Farmville when it was huge.
Oh my gosh,
And that was enough for me. And then, so beyond that, there was also the Lego Indiana Jones games, which are great.
Oh, I did play those.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So, or the first one, I haven't played the second one, but anyways, so I have a bit of experience with all of the Indiana Jones games to some degree, and that was why I was like really hyped for this one, because this looked to me like it could have been the best Indiana Jones game ever made, and not to get too ahead of myself, I think it kind of is.
Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Hot takes.
For
Sure.
myself, with my history of Indiana Jones, I grew up with it a little bit later. I didn't like. I remember my parents first showed it to me. I want to say probably when I was like maybe 11 or 12 or so. And I remember going to Disney World, and they had the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular there, or whatever it was called. And I remember I had already seen the Indiana Jones movies beforehand. They showed me like one of them, and I was just so blown away. I had never seen a movie like that before. And I think the reason those original 3 hold up is because all of the stunts were done practically, and they're very visceral. It even to this day, like when like specifically in like Raiders, man, like when Indy hooks the whip underneath the moving truck going down that desert road, and then shoots out the back and is getting dragged along the back and has to pull himself up. That is still like one of the most like intense action scenes in a movie to me. Like I think it like that. I think the movies do such a good job of how they choreograph action. It's easy to follow. It's exciting. It's entertaining. And on top of that, you know, I grew up religious, so you have everything with like freaking, you know, like the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail and all this other stuff. So it's like feeding into my Christian mythology right there.
Yeah.
Just imagine that Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV meme, but for holy relics showing up in movies.
I know, right? I know that. I learned that in Jesus school.
You have chosen wisely.
Getting emotional.
He was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter. Good job, Indy.
The cup of a carpenter.
Oh my god. But so I remember being just blown away by it. And I also remember like the indie movies for a long time were my only semblance of feeling somewhat cool, because the reason I say that is my parents didn't let me watch R-rated movies until I was like I think 16 or 17 or something like that. And I remember like every one of my friends was allowed to watch an R-rated movie, or at least one. I was never like, my parents were super strict about it, like, no, you can't do that, no R-rated movies. And so Indy was the most violent I had ever seen a movie, specifically Temple of Doom.
Oh yeah.
With the whole heart scene, I'm like, that's fucking metal, man. That was wild.
I mean, it is. It's pretty insane. Yeah.
So
and if you think about it, sorry to cut you off. If you think about it, the minecart section in Temple of Doom is amazing, and it's influenced everything after that's had a minecart section. Like
Donkey Kong Country, right?
Resident Evil 4. Like it's like every piece of media that's ever had a minecart section is copying Temple of Doom, like verbatim. Like that's how iconic that scene is. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Troy.
I was gonna jump back to the heart scene. So if you got minecart stuff,
Galima.
I was talking to someone the other day. I'm not going to say who they are, in case they'd be embarrassed by this story. But they were talking about having been like they're listening to an audiobook that was talking about the history of Hawaii and how the natives got there. I promise this connects. And I was like, this sounds like some shitty history written by a white dude. Turns out it was. But there, I was saying that you got to take it with a grain of salt. Their depictions of the natives, because this is a white historian and like the book's from like the 70s. I'm like, this is not a reliable narrator. And this person I was speaking to was like, well, there's some like gross stuff that happened in like pre-civilized cultures. Like, look at Indiana Jones, what they did in the Temple of Doom. And I'm like, you can't use Indiana Jones as an argument for historical accuracy. That's not how that works.
I mean, he could have talked about like the Aztecs and Mayans like sacrificing rituals, but instead he chose a movie.
They were correct about what they were saying, that like there were civilizations that did do ritualistic harm, but to use Indiana Jones as the example of that was just, it was choice.
And so plus good. To claim that because we're civilized, that means we don't do gross stuff is also really stupid.
They didn't phrase it that way.
I mean, that's fair.
But that was the implication, was
that's funny.
What I told this person, you just shouldn't read history books because you're just not going to enjoy any of them. Because
I mean, Indiana Jones is a historical figure. Just stealing artifacts from their civilization.
It belongs in a museum.
It doesn't belong to the natives.
Oh my god!
Earlier today, I was playing this wild game you guys might have heard of called Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And I was in a section where there's like a city on fire. We'll talk about it, I'm sure. But I picked up a sketch that I found on a table. It was like one of the notes you can pick up, and the like description for it was like a sketch of the city saved from the fire. And I'm like, saved from the fire right now by me picking it up and stealing it? Is that what the description means?
Yes.
That's really funny.
That's his infinitely deep jacket pocket.
Well, let's dive into that infinitely deep jacket pocket, and we can talk about this game in earnest, shall we? We can talk about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Now, to off the top, just for people who may not have played it, we will spoil the story at the end of the episode, and we will give a very clear spoiler wall, so you don't have to worry about anything too major being spoiled for you. And this will just be an overview of the gameplay and our thoughts on it, and we'll save our thoughts for the final boss at the spoiler wall as well, because that's also very plot heavy. But for those who have not played this yet and are looking to kind of get into it, the basic premise of this story is that Indy is the game opens with Indy at Marshall College, where he's employed, and he is awakened to that someone breaking into his college and stealing a weird artifact, something that's seemingly, I shouldn't say weird, but seemingly innocuous, benign. There we go. Something that he was like, that's strange. Why did they choose to steal that? And it sparks his curiosity, and it takes him down a rabbit hole where he ends up, and they've talked about this in promotional material, so I don't feel bad saying this in this portion of the podcast, but basically it's all about how he starts tracking down, like kind of unraveling the mystery of the Great Circle, which is this. It's a real myth, like it's a real like theory or phenomena, whatever you want to call it, where if you look at a lot of the ancient wonders of the world and you draw a line from them, they form a perfect circle around the globe. And it's people have like Machu Picchu, and I mean, what are all the other? There's a whole bunch. What is it? The 7 of them or 8 of them? Do you guys know?
I think there's 7.
Sukhothai is another one. Machu Picchu, Sukhothai, the pyramids of Giza. Like if you draw a line from them, from like connecting each one of these great wonders, the Ziggurat of is also in there.
Easter Island,
and if you draw a line between them all, they form a perfect circle of the circumference of the Earth, and that's kind of crazy. That's kind of weird, right? All these like civilizations that wouldn't have really most likely interacted with each other as far as we can. Maybe a historian can write in and be like, actually, they would have, but to the layman, I would assume it does. That
Very
seems kind of
independent.
crazy.
Yeah, all these
So
sites independently founded that then the thing they have in common is that they're all connected by this circle you can draw after the fact. Interesting
yes.
coincidence or theological destiny?
Yep, and that's the game kind of explores that, and that is where we will leave it in terms of the setup. But Indy goes on a globe-trotting adventure to figure out what is the Great Circle and unravel its mysteries. And you travel a lot of cool places, in all honesty. And I won't spoil all of them, but you start off in the Vatican. You also then go to the pyramids of Giza, and there's a couple other locations, but there's a lot of cool places they take you, and that is the basic
I think
overall
we
premise.
should try and keep the other locations past Vatican and Giza vague.
That's why I stopped there.
Yeah. Because that's I went into this game knowing almost nothing about it. The only thing I did know about it was what the opening is. Which, if you're worried about being spoiled on the opening, stop listening to the podcast and go play the game. But the opening is a recreation of the opening of Raiders, which is really, really cool. And I wish I didn't know it when I had started the game, because even knowing that, I was like, this would be a cool reveal.
I did not know it going in. And yeah, you talk about like a really, really amazing way to start the game was like this of the iconic opening of Raiders, going into the temple, and
you see the
and
Paramount logo mounted, and then it actually pans out and they're there.
Give me the idol, give me the whip.
And, you do this. You brush the spiders off his back. Like, you hit every beat of that opening.
And they're like
tutorial. It's so good.
And there's like YouTube videos that are like comparing the intro to Raiders to the version of it recreated in Great Circle, and it is like note for note accurate. There are some weird things with some of the facial expressions in the game. They look a little AI-ish, but it's not terrible. And then at the end you run away from the giant stone boulder, and it's all the recreation of it is pretty fantastic. Because Raiders takes place Great Circle takes place between Raiders and Crusade, because Temple of Doom is a prequel to Raiders. So, but yeah.
I thought that was amazing. The tutorial section was the intro to Raiders. Like, I don't think you could have, like, that's such a smart way to. That is such a smart marrying of fan service and game design.
Yes.
Right?
Because it was like, all right, cool. I'm going to learn how to push a bush out of the way, because I know that's what Indy's about to do, is push a bush out of the way. I'm going to learn how to use my whip. I'm going to learn how to check for traps. Like, you know what the game's about to teach you because you've seen the movie and you know what the beats are. And it just,
yes,
I think it really works. Like, I've seen some people be a little bit down on that as an opening, and I don't get it.
Really?
It's wonderful to me.
Really? Who is down on it?
I think people are down on it from the respect. I realized I was way too far away from the mic. Sorry. I've seen people be down on it from the respect of it's not really this game. Like, that's the complaint that I've heard about it.
What I like is it's not too long, and as you said, it's like a really good tutorial section. Like, it familiarizes you with the world, the systems, how the game is going to be presented and played out in a familial setting. Like, especially if you are playing this as an Indiana Jones fan, this part, the intro to Raiders. So getting to play it in this way is just, I think, I couldn't have done it any better.
And also, like most other tutorial sections in games, like they don't especially for like really narrative focused games, like they don't always do them eloquently. I mean, I'm not even saying that to be derogatory, but like, for every, like, I think the tutorial section in like Ghost of Tsushima is fantastic. Like, it's one of my favorites. I did an episode a couple of years ago on it, and I was enamored with how they taught you all the different mechanics. But then for every one of those, you have like, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I'm not trying to throw shade at Call of Duty specifically, but like they just give you like a training thing. It fits thematically with the world, but it's like you're in a little, little cardboard people pop up and you shoot them, and that's how you practice your skills. And they give you can see how fast you can go through the course, and that kind of shows you how well they even, depending on how fast you go through the course, that actually even tells you like, oh, we recommend this difficulty for you based off how you performed in the course. Really cool idea, but that doesn't really fit at all with the story you're teaching. It's completely separate and independent from it. Versus with this, it's same thing, but it works because it's thematically teaching you the mechanics as Indiana Jones through a section that you already, if you've seen the movies, you already know. I don't get why people dislike it so much. That's weird. Or some people have disliked it. That's strange.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard that. Because this intro section shows to me that the developers of the game, Machine Games, are fans of Indiana Jones and spent a lot of time researching to get it down.
Howdy are they?
Yeah, because can we talk about Machine Games a little bit? They are a subsidiary of Bethesda, so they're owned by Microsoft, and they got most known for making the more recent Wolfenstein games like New Order, New Colossus.
They are fantastic. The Wolfenstein games.
I've been meaning to go through those games, especially after playing this and how good it was. And I'm like, man, they're really good at making games where you beat up Nazis. I need to play the other ones. So I have them on Game Pass. I have them on Game Pass, so I will hopefully be going through the New Order soon. Because when this game was first announced, it was like, oh, the Machine Games making Indiana Jones game. That's really cool, right? People were excited. But there was some commotion of, is it going to be first or third person? That was a big talking point leading up to this game, because I think most people would have just assumed, oh, an Indiana Jones game, that's going to be a third-person adventure game like an Uncharted or like, say, the modern Tomb Raider games, but Indiana Jones, right? Because that just made sense in our brains. And we were like, but Machine Games has never really done something like that. They've done like the Wolfenstein games, or say when they were Starbreeze Studios, they were doing stuff like the Chronicles of Riddick and the Darkness, first-person games.
Right.
So, and people were worried about it being a first-person game. They're like, oh, it might not be any good because all the crazy stuff you could do as Indiana Jones, but first-person wouldn't be any fun. People were worried about it. I was never really worried about it, but I was like, we'll see what happens. And then the first gameplay trailer dropped, and that confirmed it was in first person, but has little third person bits that we can get to. And I thought it was great. Like, that was a really fantastic trailer, cooled any sort of worries I had about the games. It's like it's first person, but it looks like it's made to be for a first person game. They're not like forcing a third person game into it. And then now that I've, put time in it, I think I have like 40 hours in this game. I can very clearly say that it is not an Uncharted clone. It's not a Tomb Raider clone. And I think that's for the best, because
absolutely,
if it was, I think it would have just become kind of forgettable. Like, it wouldn't have been as memorable of an experience as it was, because it goes in a completely different direction than being like a cinematic, explosive adventure action game. It's more of a, like, it's still globetrotting, but it's much more of like a first person, like borderline immersive sim, stealthy kind of game.
So in interviews, they said it was not an immersive sim, though there are elements of it. I kind of described it as a puzzle action game, like a first person puzzle action game.
It's stealth
emphasis on the puzzle and stealth. Yeah, puzzle and stealth. And something that I was, when I was doing research for the episode with this, one of the things that they were talking about when they were, you mentioned like they clearly love Indiana Jones. I found a video, and I'm not entirely sure if this is actually what it is, but there in one of the promotional videos that Bethesda released for this, there is a shot that you could see of the people at Machine Games, scanning Indy's hat and whip or hat and jacket, and they don't say it, but I think they scanned the authentic props, maybe, because I don't know why you would get a lookalike.
Very close with LucasArts for this.
Like, they worked closely with LucasArts. They ran the whole story by him. Todd Howard was actually one of the biggest proponents. The guy who runs Bethesda, or ZeniMax, or whatever the fuck.
Bethesda, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping the listeners of this know who Todd Howard is.
I would assume so. But so he was the biggest proponent of this game. He had been wanting to do an Indiana Jones game for years.
Ooh, Indiana Jane.
Indiana Jeans is his new product.
It's woke
line.
now. Sorry.
Oh wait, you went with Jane. Okay, never mind. We were
I
at
said
odds with our
Jane by
jokes
accident.
It's fine.
I combined Jones and game at the same time, so it was James. But no, Howard had been wanting to do an Indiana Jones game for a long time, and specifically the Great Circle element was something he had an idea of literally years ago. So this has been like mulling in his brain for years. And then finally he got all the licensing and everything together to do this. So obviously we see the final product, but they worked very closely with LucasArts or Lucasfilm, and I don't know for sure. Like I can't say this. I'm assuming it's the original props because that would make sense. I feel like since they work so closly with them, they could totally do that. Another thing they did to kind of show how much of a fan of Indiana Jones they were. I was watching like a lot of the interviews that I saw, almost all of them are Troy Baker, and it's fine. I like Troy Baker well enough, but it's like I can only take so much of watching the same guy speak over and over and over again.
Especially somebody like Troy Baker.
He's too goddamn good looking. But but so
he might trick you into crypto or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. What the fuck do you do? I forget what it was.
He also backtracked on that after he got called out by actually Alana Pierce and Austin Wintory and everyone on there.
Yeah.
That
whole thing was weird.
He had that's a whole thing. If you're curious, he had a little NFT thing where he I'm not going to go into it.
Yeah.
It was an NFT.
I'd forgotten about NFTs. That's how bad everything is.
Well, it's essentially was a cross between NFT and generative AI, so it's like the worst of all worlds.
Oh,
but it was before generative AI was like the big thing. But anyway, so they brought on a cinematographer for the mocap sessions. And they specifically cinematographer, I forget the name that they mentioned, but they wanted to mimic what Douglas Slocum did, who was the cinematographer for Raiders of the Lost Ark. And what they did was when you see shots of like Indy, or whether Indy's walking towards the camera, or maybe it's like a silhouette of him in the background, or you see the camera panning or zooming in towards him, they were physically moving the mocap cameras to do that, to kind of create the whole cinematography effect in terms of positioning from the mocap stage, and not just done in post-production, which from what Troy Baker said, almost no games do that. They film the full stage, and then they, since it's all done in a 3D space anyway, they can move the cameras however they want. But they actually physically move the cameras while doing mocap for this to mimic even more the feel and vibe of an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, and I think we're at that point now where you can have the technology to really do the replicating a movie type thing, which, has been a controversial thing in video games for a lot of years, like trying to make games more like movies. But like in this scenario, like doing a game based off of a very well-known film IP, trying to match it as close as you can to say what the movies can do, I think is very smart of them to do. And it shows that they had a lot of love and care put into it as well.
That also it kind of brings me back to what you were saying about the fact that this game is first person, because obviously you can't have the cutscenes be first person. Not in general. No. Cyberpunk does first person cutscenes and they're great, but it's Indiana Jones. We want to see Indiana Jones. Like,
that was kind of the big thing about it being in first person, was people were like, but we want to see Indy. We want to see the whip and the jacket and the hat and the iconic stuff. And they find ways around it.
I love how this game looks in the cutscenes, but I'm one of the few things I really dislike about this game is that it can't decide if it's first person or third person in the gameplay. I hate every time it switches to third person, because
I don't mind it.
I think it's pretty straightforward, actually. Like, I'll finish your thought, Troy, but I'll explain why I think it's straightforward in a moment.
Sure.
The problem that I have is that everything it switches to third person for is something where Indy feels clunky. And so all of the times that the controls feel bad are when the game is in third person. And that just makes the third person, to me, always feel bad. So anytime the camera pulls out, I'm like, oh, great. Indy's about to do something that doesn't work quite right. And it just, I just wish it was all in first person. I don't think you need to be in third person for any of the gameplay parts where it pulls the camera back.
Okay.
I think I get why they did the third person bits. I think it was as a bit of a compromise so that you could see the Indiana Jones like character model that they made, which is like a really fantastic character model. And I get it. It's like when you're climbing ledges or climbing ladders, or the big one is when you whip swing.
Swing.
That's the big one to be in third person. That's the one where I feel like it is most necessary to be in third person, because doing that in first person would not feel right. At least
that is the one where it's potentially an issue. And to me, I'm just like, so I did one of those segments when I was playing today to kind of refresh myself. I was down under some building in the Vatican and had to swing on a whip and then reorient myself to swing a different direction. And as I was doing it, I was like, if I just hit the button to swing and Indy had grabbed this and then jumped off the other end without me having to like minorly adjust his swing to angle at the platform I wanted, I would have just as much fun with this moment. I didn't need to like very precisely maneuver him in third person so that I could make this jump. Just let me get there. But
see,
like I said,
I never thought
minor
it was
complaint.
that precise. I never had that problem, but
I see the third person stuff didn't bother me, mainly because it only appears during traversal.
yes.
And I think since that is more semi-platforming based, I do think first person platforming is a little bit trickier at times. Like I don't think it's as intuitive, because you kind of like with platforming you need to see where like spatially where you're at, and it's a lot harder to gauge that first person wise usually in a game.
If you guys have ever played Journey to the Savage Planet, there is some like first person platforming in there that's like you kind of use a whip to like whip around, and it's fine, but when you're doing that first person, it's also in like say like Metroid Prime or even like Doom Eternal or something. Like when you're doing platforming in first person, as you said, Josh, it's just kind of weird, because you're just so used to like being able to see, like have your environmental awareness, and in first person you don't really have it. So they're trying to compromise, at least with like say whip swinging and things.
It's the problem I have is that it's like I wish I could play this game in third person. I would probably play this game in third person over first person. I don't think it would be substantially better. I think first person like works, but I'd probably play in third person because I like seeing the model for Indiana Jones. But you don't see him do anything cool in gameplay when you see him. I think that's what it comes down to for me.
That's
like
fair.
If the reason to have it is to see the model, it's like, cool, I'm watching him shimmy across a ledge. Like, yay. That's not what I'm here for, is to see Indiana Jones shimmy on a ledge.
I do think though, if the game would have been third person, it would have taken away from it. I think making it first person separates it heavily from Uncharted, and also we'll get to it in just a moment. But the overall gameplay, I got thoughts on the gameplay. Like I enjoyed the game. Like it's not going to be like necessarily a full on like negative thing with it, but I got some thoughts I got to get out on it. But with with like kind of the moment to moment gameplay, in terms of like the camera switching, it didn't bother me so much. I guess I see your point though, how like whenever you see him in gameplay via third person, it's always just kind of like a little bit clunky looking. Like he always looks not sure of himself. I think the reason why first person platforming for me doesn't work is that, to me, a platformer game, you have to have goofy physics, right? Like Mario has goofy physics where like when you jump, you can guide the direction of his fall, right? You can't really do that in real life, right? So when you're in first person, generally when you have a game in first person, generally it's meant to be more realistic, and realism is kind of the death of platforming in sometimes. I'm not saying it completely, but I do think it makes it harder to make a more compelling platformer, which, limitations breed creativity. So if there is some great first person platformers out there, listeners, not Mirror's Edge, I'm not saying it's bad, but just something other than that. Like
Mirror's Edge is another one that's kind of wonky.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Cluster Truck?
I've never even heard of it.
Yes, I have.
Cluster Truck is a great first person platformer where the premise is that you're on the back of a semi truck and there's about 30 other semi trucks and they're all driving as fast as they can and you got to jump across them.
That sounds awesome.
But that game does not have realistic physics, so that's how it's able to get away
But
with it.
that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Because like you have to build, you have to, if you're trying to tell like a narrative like indie, like you can't really have unrealistic physics with it. Like there's going to be some like non-realistic stuff, obviously, but it has to be mostly grounded.
Though I will say the platforming in this game I didn't think was a problem. Like I never really had issues missing jumps or not calculating things correctly. And also I found the game was a little generous. If I slightly missed something, it would just kind of grab it for me. I miss jumps here and there, but
it wasn't very stretchy arms. So if you slightly miss a jump, he's going to catch you anyway. But then also the checkpointing is pretty generous. So if you do miss a jump and fall to your death, you're just right back there pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, this is very much a modern game where there's basically no penalty for dying.
Yeah.
Like there's no penalty for dying anymore, which is kind of its own talking point. But
I never mind that. I
overall it's a good thing.
Time is precious to me, so don't make me waste my goddamn time. That's what I say. I'm always grateful for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
as long as you have a good checkpointing system, I'm fine.
I really want to touch on real quick the next kind of, unless you guys have, I mean, feel free to jump back into like the traversal stuff, but something I really want to touch on with the gameplay is I was not expecting this game to play the way it does.
Neither did I at
all.
I went into this game expecting Uncharted, but Indiana Jones. Like first person Uncharted, right?
See, I didn't expect that at all. When I saw it was in first person, I was like, I think they're going to be doing something different. I think they're going to focus more on like puzzles and exploration and that kind of stuff.
See, I did not think that at all. You're smarter than I am. I did not think that at all. I just remember, like, I booted it up. So actually, the way I got this game was it was shortly after my birthday. I got in Mario Wonder for it. I was like, man, I really want that new Indiana Jones game. And it had just literally, like, my birthday was a couple days after this came out on PS4 or PS5, excuse me. So I went and I actually was paying my taxes and I went across the street afterwards to Walmart and I was like, I did an adult thing. I deserve a goddamn video game.
Hell yeah.
Picked up the new Indiana Jones
rated
game.
M though, isn't it?
No, it's T, I think. Oh,
is it? I don't fucking know. See, that's the thing. It's hard to find the ESRB rating for games these days.
If it's a digital game, they hide it.
It's rated T, and I have the physical copy in front of me.
Okay, yeah. Well, if I go to the Xbox store, it's right there. So,
but so I picked it up, and then I come home and I take the forever and a half to install it, and I start playing it. And in this game, I guess I was expecting more action, and it's not. It is very slow paced. It's very methodical. It's much more
a walk around
focused.
And look at stuff game, and then every once in a while you have to punch some fascists.
It's closer to like Firewatch than Tomb Raider.
Almost, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's not as like depressing and makes me hate the main character. But that Firewatch is a different story.
I love Firewatch, man. Shout out Sissy Jones. Good. I had her on the podcast a couple years ago.
I had to replay that game.
So good. But
man, my ex and I played What Remains of Edith Finch and Firewatch in the same weekend. And that was just that was a wonderful and depressing weekend.
Is that when you broke up? Because you're just so sad.
Oh my God. But no, so like I think I was just so genuinely surprised by this gameplay just because, I was expecting action. What we end up getting is it's a collectathon, but not in a bad way. Like this is, I think, a collectathon done well.
Yeah. And it's very like the emphasis on stealth also took me for surprise, but I think it works really well because if you're Indiana Jones and you're just kind of roaming around these like big areas, and it's like, oh, you're kind of like infiltrating in the Nazi camps and like doing all this stuff. Like it makes more sense that he would be kind of sneaky about it. And there is like stealth aspects of the movies. It's just never really been the full.
He's always creeping around.
But it's never been like the main point of them. But the way the game emphasizes it, it really sort of changed how I was going to approach this game. But I loved how the game approached that, And also it had a bit of, I'd hate to say like kind of Breath of the Wild influence with like the improvised weapons, because you can pick up just about anything and bash somebody over the head with it.
You get an
Do
achievement for
y'all
hitting someone with a fly swatter, killing them
Oh
with a
yeah,
fly
y'all
yeah,
swatter.
yeah.
remember?
And they're all like, and they all degrade after like a couple hits.
Do you remember what your first stealth kill was in this game, or a
It,
takedown?
No.
I guess not
I think
necessarily kill.
I think it was a guitar.
Mine was a guitar, and there was
Yeah,
a guy
when you
standing
hit
like 6 feet away, and I'm like, "How did you not hear that guitar break?"
Yeah, because when you break it over his head, I think they play a chord as well.
This game, like, it is so interesting to me as a stealth game because it's a shitty stealth game, because the enemy AI sucks, but it's
Oh yeah,
great that it sucks, because this is a stealth game that, like, it is not interested in challenging you on the stealth aspect. It wants you to be able to, like, be sneaky, screw up, and recover. Like, it is designed to allow you to do those
yeah.
things,
I mean,
which
because
I think
if
if you're
this
like
was,
if you're a stealth sicko, I think it would be really dissatisfying to play this game.
I
But
mean, if this played like say like a modern Hitman game or a Splinter
right.
Cell, as far as the stealth mechanics go, I think it would suck.
Yeah, absolutely. Where you need to be like quick saving constantly, and like,
Yeah,
no,
it would
man,
be
it's way
annoying.
goofier than that, and it works really well because of that. But it's
Exactly.
like this game's so strange to me because like it's kind of an immersive sim, but it's not quite, and it's kind of a stealth game, but it's not
Yeah,
quite. It's like it it picks all of these like tropes up, but then it's like implementing them like very creatively instead of just feeling like it's copying somebody else's mechanics. It's like
yeah.
borrowing ideas and then going, okay, but how does that work if the player is Indiana Jones? And
Well,
of course, Indiana Jones can do a stealth takedown with an acoustic guitar. That doesn't make any sense, but of course, Indiana Jones can do
it
it. Why
like
not?
it fits his character and it fits the world.
That's exactly the point I was about to make. I think they did a phenomenal job of translating the character of Indiana Jones into gameplay. Where
Absolutely.
if you remember, he is an archaeologist who just happens to get into a couple scraps every now and then. You know, he's not necessarily going to be your MMA fighter. He's not going to be your mass murderer Nathan Drake. He's going to be a guy who like just kind of like he knows how to fight when he needs to, but at the same time he kind of haphazardly stumbles his way through a lot of this stuff. And
Mhm.
he loves history. He wants all of it in a museum. He doesn't want any of it destroyed. He wants it saved somewhere for someone can come like access it at some point. Hopefully it's in the museum that's local to the area, but that's
I
besides
like
the
that they
point.
shout that out in the second area that he makes
Yeah.
a point of being like, we're not taking these artifacts that are like
This
the
is going to
special collectible.
this
It's
is going to
their
Cairo.
museum.
It
Yep.
reminded me of if you guys have played Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's a bit of a plot point in that game is Laura and like the whole idea of like stealing the artifacts because it became a thing around that time.
Oh man,
But what's interesting, I brought this game up earlier, and it was the
Hmm.
Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. A lot of people were comparing Great Circle to this game because both games are first-person, like action adventure kind of stealthy games, and actually both had the same lead designer, Jens Anderson. I hope I said that right.
As long as it's not Jerk Gustafson, and that's his first name.
That was the director of the game.
Yeah, when I saw, maybe it's pronounced Yerk, I don't know, but like
Maybe
Swedish. When I saw that, I was like, Jerk Gustafson, that poor son of a bitch.
Because I went to Moby Games and looked at the credits of this game and compared them to like the Chronicles of Riddick game, and there's a lot of crossover.
There's a lot.
And I have this Riddick game. I've been meaning to play it, and people have been comparing it favorably to that game. So it's like I really need to sit down and play that game because if it's very similar, then it's going to be great. But also, some people were comparing it to The Darkness as well, which is another game that a lot of those people worked
they
on.
made as well.
Yeah. So it's interesting they took some of those kind of older games but brought them into like a more modern type of design, and like that idea still works really well.
Absolutely, and I think like I mentioned before, it was a collectathon a little bit, right? And there's a lot of stuff you can collect. There's like medicine bottles, there's artifacts, there's like just individual, the actual
Books.
items that you need to books.
Many books,
which are your power upgrades. That when you find a book out in the world, you can either buy them in the shops or you can find them out in the world and then spend like your experience points. They call them something else, but
adventure
it's basically
points.
it's essentially experience points, and you can then upgrade, like your brawling or your stealth or your weapon reload, so you can kind of pick and choose if you want to, like how you want your indie to play. But for the most part, they just kind of give you the books randomly. So
Yeah.
like you kind of become a jack of all trades at some point, and if you want to become a master of one, you just have to kind of seek it out, type of thing. But I was really impressed with the collecting aspect of it, because it wasn't tedious in the sense like you didn't need to collect everything if you didn't want to, and
Yeah.
it never felt like the game encouraged you to collect everything. Like a lot of times people criticize like Donkey Kong 64 for all the collectibles in it, when in actuality you don't, like, there's a shitload of collectibles in that, don't get me wrong, but you don't need to get all of them. But the game sure as hell makes you feel like you do.
Yeah.
And in this game, they don't make you feel like you have to get all the collectibles. But if you want to, if you enjoy the world and you enjoy kind of poking around at the corners of each level, and the levels are expansive, they're really big. When I was exploring the Vatican, I was blown away by how many different like nooks and crannies you go into, and how many like random tombs that just are fucking huge that you just end up like walking through. And it all feels like, especially because it's in the Vatican and it's all mysterious anyway, like it feels like, yeah, this could totally exist. I was very impressed by that, and all the artifacts and other stuff that you get, whether it's like random recipes from the culture, like the area, like that's more culturally related to the area that you happen to be in. All of it kind of adds context to the world that you're in, whether it's artifacts or it's story beats or anything like that. All the collectibles add context to your world, as opposed to something like Assassin's Creed where it's like 500 feathers, which okay, that's fine if you want to go around and collect the 500 feathers. In this,
Or the flags in the first game. Ugh.
yes, with this, it's all related to the world that you're in, so it further entrenches you, it further immerses you into this world, because all of the collectibles have something to do with it, and I thought that was
Yeah.
awesome.
They also, unless I'm misremembering, the game doesn't really distinguish for you when a collectible is going to be relevant to another puzzle, because a lot of times you'll like pick up a note that, if you read it, has a clue that's going to be relevant for opening a safe that has another collectible or something like that. But if the game distinguishes those, I don't remember them doing it. And because of that, I read everything.
Well,
every collectible I picked up in this game, I was
There's a lot to
reading what it
read.
said.
well, real
I-
quick, real quick, did you guys play this on the PS5 or the Xbox / Game Pass?
I
I
played
played
this
on
on
Xbox when it came
I
out.
played this on the Series X through Game Pass. Yeah.
So there is a difference on the PS5. The PS5 version, they made some quality of life improvements. From my understanding, they added a couple extra books, like there's more power ups in there. And I don't know what else they added. I didn't look at all the differences, but they group artifacts together for specific puzzles. So if there's like 4 different artifacts all related to the same puzzle, they will tell you, hey, these
That's
are all
right.
hey, you found this one piece, there's actually 3 others, you just have to go and find them. They're usually all grouped together physically on the world, in the location you're in the level. But yeah, there is actually some pretty decent, there's some significant differences between the PS5 version and the original release.
I will
think
say
that
this
was
this
there
update
at
did come
release.
to Xbox and PC as well.
Okay, sorry, what were you
Yeah.
saying, Troy?
I was just saying, I think that grouping was there at release. I think I just didn't notice it at first. And so I was just
Okay.
reading everything. And then by the time I noticed it, I was like, this writing's all really good. And it has literally changed the way I play games. Like I was always a pick up everything you can find person, and I never read any of it. And I was playing Control around the same time that I played this game. Still haven't finished. I need to go back to that.
Fucking love Control. Don't get me started.
But its writing for the collectibles is like just as good as this one, and I'm like, oh shit, have all of these games I've played over the years had great writing in the item descriptions that I just haven't been paying attention to?
I think
So
that
many games probably do.
I think that item lore stuff has gotten better over the years, and also games like Control and Indiana Jones. I think it comes down to how interesting you find that lore. Like I found the Control lore fascinating, so I
Right.
was just
Yeah,
reading it
I
all the
love it.
time. And the Indiana Jones stuff, I read more of it than I expected. but I didn't read every single thing. But what I was going to say with the books, one thing I like about it is also with like the upgrading stuff is that it doesn't do the skill tree thing. Like every fucking game has a goddamn skill tree now where it's like upgrade this to do that. And you see the progression. Like this game doesn't do that. It's just, you see the books and then you're just like, oh, I should use that. That would be a nice upgrade for me. And I always had so many adventure points because it's so easy to get like a shit ton of them. So I found myself, getting pretty powered up in the game. But like, even though this game isn't an immersive sim, I think the immersion, like immersing yourself in this world, immersing yourself as Indiana Jones and exploring all these nooks and crannies, going into like all these various temples and just like walking around and just stumbling upon something random. They're like, oh, that's a weird path. And you go that path and it's like a side quest and you're like, oh shit, like you get that sort of exploratory feeling that I think some of us don't get with games anymore. Like this game truly captures that old school idea of you're just exploring in a game and you just stumble upon stuff and it's just really cool.
Well, and it's that reason that I think the first person works so well, and why, like I said, if third person was an option, I would have played it, and I'm glad it's not an option because playing in first person is what made that immersion come through so well. Absolutely. Is that like you're in it. I do want to call out one of my favorite little moments in this game because you both have mentioned when you stumble into a random tomb, and my favorite thing that happens in this game is when you're wearing a disguise and then you walk into a tomb that's like a real tomb where it's like, all right, this is a Zelda dungeon, like you're into a new level. And Indy puts his adventuring outfit on when you walk in, and I'm like, oh shit!
When he swaps,
it's serious.
Yeah, it's really cool that like you're able to find the disguises because if you go back and backtrack, say like me, and you're like trying to get all the achievements, but it's like it's very much a hassle. Go ahead,
Thrak.
No, like if you get on the disguises, then it just makes backtracking so easy because you'll just be walking around and some guys will just go like Heil Hitler, or they'll just like say random German things to you, and Indy just responds to them, like unless it's an officer, because the officers are the ones who get kind of shaky on you. But it's fun backtracking in those outfits just to see all like the Germans being friendly to you. I always got a kick out of it.
Did you guys find the like, so in each section, you have like your starting outfit, you have an outfit that'll let you blend in, you have Indy's outfit, and then you have like the enemy's outfit, right? So in like the Vatican, you have a priest outfit, Indy's outfit, and then a fascist outfit, right?
Black shirt, I think.
Yeah, black shirt. I never found one. I'm not going to say the name because we said we'd wait till the spoiler section, but I never found like the Nazi / the fascist thing for the third area.
I had to look up a guide for both the second and third area, which is one of another of my few complaints is like I think they hid the disguises a little too well, and they don't even really tell you, at least that I recall. I don't feel like the game was ever like, and by the way, you can get an enemy outfit. I like stumbled upon the one in the Vatican.
Yeah. The game doesn't really hold your hand that much, which I like that. I think it sort of, again, allows you to like immerse yourself in the world. But like, if you want to do more than just the main story, you're definitely going to need a guide to be like, oh, like, how do I do this? Or how do I go over there? Or, that kind of thing. It's a very heavy guide game if you want to do more than just the main story. Which can be a bit of an issue for some people. I understand, but yeah, I get it. Like the enemy disguises are a bit more challenging. In the second area, I remember finding that one was a real pain in the ass because I knew where it was, but I couldn't figure out how to get there. I think it was like a good 20 minutes till I found it.
Considering how much finding those disguises improves the experience of creeping around through enemy bases, they make them way too hard to find by creeping around in enemy bases. Because it's like, well, now by the time I found this, I've already like explored everything just by being really sneaky, trying to figure out where the disguise was in the first place. So,
but I think that's the point, because I think they want you to explore these areas as Indiana Jones to get that stealth.
And then the reward is that freedom.
Exactly. Which I think probably an improvement they could have done is say when you reach like the main goal of like in that like big Nazi camp, like say off to the side, you find the disguise. Like it's not hidden like half a mile down the road in some random shack. It's like, oh no, it's actually like right here as like a goal kind of a thing. That would have been nice. It would have been a little video gamey, but I think it would have been nice to have.
See, it's funny. I actually found the first and second disguise with no guide. I just kind of stumbled upon both of them pretty easily.
Yeah, the first one I stumbled upon by pure accident.
One of my favorite spots where the game just failed at tutorialization was when I had been to all 3 of the major locations and then used the travel menu in the menu to travel back to the first area and picked up an item that was like, hey, here's how you travel between areas.
Oh,
and I was
shit,
like,
I didn't
cool.
even...
Thanks,
that's
game.
Funny.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Something else I think we should touch on a little bit. Thrak, you touched on it a little bit. I think we should elaborate further, I guess, is the found weapon, the nature of the found weapons and how combat works.
Yes, combat was a little bit of a sore spot for me. I think it was the one part of the game that wasn't as fully realized as it could have been.
I would agree with that.
So really your main form of attack is punching people. Like you have the whip
right in the mush.
Like you have the whip, you can use the whip in combat, but it's not like a main like attacking kind of a weapon. You can use it to stun enemies or, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So mainly you're using your fisticuffs, and like the sound effects and the way it works, I think is perfectly fine. Like the right trigger is your right punch, the left trigger is your left punch, you have a block and a parry, that kind of thing. Like the sound effects are on point. Like I think they use the same punch sound effect as in the movies.
It sounds it for sure.
Yeah, it's fun at first, but kind of my issue with it is the hand-to-hand combat never really evolves that much. Like you're just kind of doing the same thing, which is if you run up to a weak enemy, you just mash the buttons until he goes down. And then some slightly bigger enemies, you try to block and parry a little bit, but then you can just kind of knock them out.
Or you just whip them and it stuns them, and you run up and punch them, and then you go back, whip them again, and just punch them in the face
like
again.
Combat didn't feel like a main sort of selling point. It was like, oh, we're gonna have it because it's part of of how the series is, but it was just kind of whatever. I think it was more fun using the improvised weapons. Like you can pick up like a nightstick, a fly swatter, a guitar, just other kind of like improvised weapons, and just like smack people in the head with them. Like that was the more fun part, was sneaking up on somebody and just smacking the shit out of them with it.
It does not feel like a game that wants you to engage in combat.
Yeah, which is weird because Machine Games with the Wolfenstein stuff, like that has such a huge emphasis on combat, and the gunplay especially. And then this game, it has gunplay, but it's just kind of whatever. Like it's not great, but it's not bad.
It's not great.
But it's kind of what you expect because Indy doesn't really use guns that much. Like he has his revolver, but like gunplay was never really a focus of Indiana Jones. So it's like when you grab like a shotgun, like you're using it kind of in a haphazard way. But again, it fits with the IP because Indy didn't really use guns all that much. So it's kind of clunky, but I think it's clunky by design.
In the castle, that's kind of the first time you deal with combat. I did like all stealth takedowns, was being really methodical, and then when I got to the end, there's one guy, and I was like, I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna pull my revolver out and shoot this guy, and I did it, and he didn't die in one shot, and I went, all right, well, I'm just not gonna use the revolver in this game, I guess.
Yeah,
and for the majority, I just did it.
Yeah. Which is weird. You wouldn't think they'd be bullet sponges in a game.
It should be. Everybody in this game should be one shot from the revolver is a kill. Everybody like that, because that is what it is in the movie. So why not? Why make them bullet spongy in the game? It's very weird.
There is one instance in the game that is very heavy on the guns, and I think you guys know which one I'm talking about.
In the Vatican section towards the end?
It's not in the Vatican section. It's a bit further on. Like it's in one of the. It's like, I think right before, it's either right before or right after the last main section, because there's a couple smaller linear sections, and one of them like really emphasizes using the guns, I think. And that's really the only time you really get to have a feel for it. And when you do, it's just like, it's okay. There's nothing amazing.
It's not bad. It's just,
but you're 100% right, Troy, with they really don't encourage it, specifically so where they make ammo very sparse in general, and
Yeah.
if you get like bad guys, let's say you get like a MP40 or something from a Nazi, right, or some other submachine gun or whatever the fuck, you can't get more ammo for it once. Like, you can't, like, it's not like you can find ammo up, pick it up on the ground, and then suddenly increase your ammo. It's like you have the amount of ammo in that gun, and if you want to use that gun some more, you have to drop it and find this another version of the same gun, and that has
Yeah.
ammo with it. And that, it's really weird. Like, you just can't add ammo to it. So they actively encourage you to try to not use like shooting mechanics, which, like you said, Thrak, is really odd coming from machine games. But I think like I think something that I think is really that good game designers and good game developers do is they know what their disciplines are. It's funny, I referenced this, I think, in an episode that I don't know when, I think it'll have come out by the time this one comes out. um Chuck Jones, the famous animator of Looney Tunes and everything like that, one of the things that he talks about, if you listen to some of his interviews and whatnot, is that, in animation, you can do anything. So you have to know what your disciplines are, know what you can do, know what limitations are you setting for yourself that you will not cross that limitation. Even though you can do whatever you want. Theoretically, assuming budget's not an issue. And like Looney Tunes, for example, he says like Bugs is never the person that instigates the fight. He is always reactionary to it. So that way, when Bugs does all that crazy shit, you're like, well, the guy kind of started it, type of thing. In this game, I feel like they wanted you to feel like a more realistic, grounded human. So you, as Indiana Jones, Mr. Rough and Tumble, have a whip and whatnot. He's not going to like run around guns blazing. He doesn't do that in the movies either, right? Like he
No.
he might punch one guy, or like, it's a lot of fisticuffs in the movies, and every now
Yeah.
and then he'll shoot somebody. But for the most part, it is action driven by set pieces and by stunt work and some fisticuffs and even less like gun work, right? And they kind of keep that same discipline in this. So they didn't go to their Wolfenstein roots and just go like, well, this is basically like over the top and insane, and we're just gonna, we can be as ridiculous as we want. No, they picked a grounded, they knew they had a grounded hero for this game, and they designed the gameplay around that.
Yeah. Though the most famous aspect of guns in Indiana Jones is that scene in Raiders where he shoots the
They
guy.
try to
right?
mimic that for you too.
They try to mimic it, and I think there's like an achievement around like doing it correctly as well, which I thought was a cute little nod as well. The game is full of nods like that. So,
Do you guys have anything more to add to the gameplay discussion right now? We've talked about the collecting, we've talked about the traversal, we've talked about the combat, all the different found weapons. Is there anything else you would like to touch on, though, before we move on to kind of like because we're going to save story towards the end, of course, but is there anything else you would like to touch on before we move on to kind of like sound and visual presentation and all that good stuff?
I do want to say, like, the basic movement of Indiana Jones, like roaming throughout the areas, is really good. Like,
It's really good.
He runs at a really good speed. Like crouching and everything feels really good. I like when you crouch, they dim the edges a little bit around the screen to kind of let you know where you're at. And just the basic movement and traversal of Indy throughout all the areas, I think is really good. Like, they nailed that.
I agree, and I think that it was very brave of them to then challenge players to continue playing through the third major area, where they said, hey, you know how getting around is pretty good in this game? What if we made it really bad for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, but I get it.
The other thing is when you're underground, like the way that this kind of is graphics as well, but the way that lighting works when you're underground, especially once you've gotten your little lighter that you use, is just gorgeous. And
beautiful.
my kiddo ended up playing a lot of this game alongside me. Like whenever there was a violent part or cutscenes and stuff, he didn't see those, but he came over while I was just in a random tomb in Egypt, a little puzzle where you have to put a couple of statues in the right place. And he
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? And I explained what the puzzle was, and he's like, can I do it? And I was like, sure, man. And he took over the controller and was able to do that. And then from then on, like anytime I was in a cave, he's like, can I play? And he like exploring the caves with me, because once you get underground, it becomes like a very different sort of game where you get rid of
Mm-hmm.
the stealth that you're worried about whenever you're around fascists or Nazis, and instead it's really about scratching the corners and finding, you know, the triggers that will allow you to move on and stuff. And I think there's
Yeah.
just really good, as a Zelda fan, it's harder for me to think of it as anything besides dungeon design, but like
I,
there's good level design in these tombs that are very
Absolutely.
very fluidly connected with the you know, overworld. But once you get into a dungeon, like I said, one where he pulls his hat on, it's like, all right, cool, I'm in for like a different gaming experience for the next hour or so. And they are like consistently fun. Again, with the exception of there's one in the third area where I'm just gonna say it, look, Indiana Jones hates snakes, and I don't hate snakes the way he does, but there's a snake that I do not
I hate snakes
enjoy.
in that one. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that was rough.
yeah. But even then, like, I think that dungeon rules. There's some great
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
some great level design. I just don't like that aspect.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it makes sense to bring up Zelda because when you go down into like these dungeons, essentially, it just feels very similar to that. But yeah, like the level design, I think is just it's super fantastic, and it's so fun to just, as you said, like go through all the little areas and kind of poke and prod and stumble upon puzzles and figure out the ways to solve them, and it all like it feels like it's ripped from like not just Indiana Jones, but like any sort of like adventure movie that would like have you traversing like ancient catacombs, basically. And yeah, and it does a fantastic job of making each one unique. Like
Mhm.
none of them kind of bleed together. They all have their own kind of set of rules for puzzles and like their own kind of unique level designs and all that. The only thing I will say is backtracking through them if you want to for like achievements or side stuff sucks. They're really meant
Oh
to be
yeah, I believe
played
that.
through linearly, like just through the main story, and they're great in that way. But if you're like me and you wanted to go back to get stuff or whatever, it's a real pain in the ass. But that's more of just like a completionist kind of an issue.
Mm-hmm. I was going to something that you both brought up with the level design got me thinking. I think another element, like another benefit of the dungeons being the way they are. One, I agree. The level design, they're really well. It's phenomenal. Like I really like how the dungeons are all laid out. But I think more specifically, they also serve as a good juxtaposition and breather, because
Yes.
even if there's no action in kind of like the hub area, there is nothing but like you're on edge slightly, even if you
Yeah.
have like the Nazi uniform on or the fascist or the black coat uniform, whatever it is. um
There's always a tension.
yes, there's always a tension because you know you're not supposed to be there, or if at the first sight of you someone is going to try to be like, hey, what's going on with this, and
I
especially
don't
because
recognize him, and you're like, fuck.
especially like the leaders of those different things, like if it what is it, if you in the Vatican section with the black coats or whatever their faces are, the black shirts, there are a couple, like the leaders of the like the lieutenants or whatever you want to call their rank or position is, they know you're not part of them, so they will call you out, and they start getting suspicious of you. So when you are up in the hub area, you are like on edge a little bit because you know you could be caught. And the dungeons act as such a nice breathing room. It's a nice change of pace because now you don't have to worry about who's there or whatnot. And if there is an enemy there, you know you're already going to be, you have to fight them. Like they're generally there already for combat. So the dungeons are just great because it allows you to interact with the world as Indy without feeling the constraints of having to be stealthy or have to worry about some enemy looking over your shoulder.
Yes, the
Mhm.
dungeons really are the best part of the game, to where it's like it's pure Indiana Jones condensed into this area. Like it's exactly what you would want out of that. Like exploring dungeons, finding random artifacts, solving puzzles, occasionally fighting enemies, traversing great obstacles. Like it does all of that, and it is handled perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Um, Any other thoughts on the gameplay before we move on to the next segment?
Side quests are great. Some of the best side quests in video games are in this game. If you wanted to critical path it, you could beat it very quickly, but you would be a fool because the side quests are fantastic.
The game definitely benefits from doing the side content. Yeah, some of them are really, really good.
They all have like specifically in the third area, there's that one story where like there's a former student of Indy.
That is the one I was just looking up. I was like, what is that one called?
That's a good. That's a real
it's
good
so
one.
Good,
yeah.
And it has such a wild ending.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that Bethesda influence almost, with like the interesting side content from like the other Bethesda games. It feels like they threw that in just a little bit. I'm glad it's not, they didn't overdo it. Like there's not like a shit ton of them. There's just enough to where if you're exploring around, say, the Vatican, you'll stumble upon some side stuff and you'll be like, oh, I should do that. That'd be interesting.
It also kind of,
and they're out, and they are.
It also kind of ties in with something you had mentioned before, Troy, where like hold on, you mentioned it before, now I'm blanking on it. It's
the finding of a note that like gives you a clue to open a safe later.
Yes, thank you. It was what I was going to say was all of the little extra notes, like the collectibles, tie into these side stories really well, where if you read some of these like sets of like artifacts / notes / collectibles, whatever, they all have little stories go through them. Even if it's like opening a safe, you get a little like microcosm of the world that person was in, where it's like, this stupid guy keeps forgetting the code, it's written right here, they can't miss it now. And they might include a reason as, you know, like maybe he's got like irritable bowel syndrome or some shit like that. I don't know. Like,
or the delivery came a day early and the password's different on different days. And there's a lot of like weird little puzzle. It almost scratches the same itch that a lot of the puzzles in Blueprints do, where it's like a weird little self-contained thing.
Yes.
And then when you solve it, you usually get some adventuring points and you're like, okay, cool, that's great. And it was never like, this is not a game where I did the side quests, you know, to level up for the end battle or whatever. I just did them because they were fun and they usually had good writing, and it's just a fun world to be in. And so like, if I find a note that suggests to me that, hey man, if I sneak through, you know, the basilica, then I'm gonna find something. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
And with
everywhere you go.
And with the puzzles, I like how the notes are there as like clues, where you'll read it and someone will be like, oh, like I trying to open this thing or whatever. And then you'll get maybe another note or two that'll have like, it'll say maybe have the decipher on it, or, you know, like a key for it. And then you sort of have to piece it together in like a Blueprints or like a Mist way, where it's like in your head, you're like, wait a minute, that's that. Like there would be times I'd pull out my phone and be like, okay, so that means that, and then that, and I would type it in my notes and then go and do the puzzle, and it would be the solution. And you know, that kind of puzzle solving in video games, it's actually like really fun. Like it kind of takes you out of the game just a teeny bit, because you're like, oh, I have to pull out my phone or write something down, but it still keeps you in the act of playing the game.
I mean, if you think about it though, like if you were Indy in that situation and you had to memorize something, you would bring out your notebook, just like Sean Connery did, and so he writes it down so he doesn't have to remember.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah.
Well, and the fact that all of the both the map and your quest log are a notebook, and it's not even like a pause menu. It's literally just Indy looks down at the notebook.
I
love that. Yeah. I will say I like the notebook with like the travels and everything, but it can be a little confusing to navigate it every once in a while. But I feel like I struggle with menus a lot of the time if they're not incredibly simple. I'm like, oh god, I'm always like inputting a button incorrectly or something.
Well, and it also, if you're doing the backtracking thing, so like I'm at the point where I've bought most of the like hint books. So when I like was playing earlier today, you know, I go into the Vatican and look at the map, and I've got a bunch of markers of things that I've missed. And when you pick one up, so the way my gameplay is going, I'm like, okay, look at the map, things over there. Go over there and pick that thing up, and then I'm ready to go find another thing. But for a few seconds after you pick the thing up, if you press the map button, it instead takes you to the notebook entry for whatever item you just picked up.
Yeah.
And so every time I picked up an item, I go through this weird routine of like, wait, okay, that's the wrong section of the menu. So which button gets me to the map? And it is a little bit unintuitive, but
Yes.
thematically it is just spectacular, and I will take the like minor inconvenience of it for the fact that it's your own little Indiana Jones notebook, and that's wonderful.
It's a little form over function, but I think it's perfectly fine. I will say, if you are like backtracking to get specific items, make sure when you're in that area and you get the item, make sure the autosave runs before you go to a different area, because otherwise the game won't count it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That happened to me a few
That's
times.
a bit of a bug that they still haven't fixed yet, but it has happened to me multiple times, because in the Marshall College, like I was going back to get all the notes, there was one I was missing. I was like, I went and grabbed it, and I was like, okay, back to the Vatican. And I went back immediately, and then I looked at my stuff, and it didn't count it. And I was like, what the fuck? And I looked it up, and everyone was like, you have to wait for the autosave to turn on. And then when it does, then you can go back and do it. So just keep that in mind if you want to get everything. Make sure it autosaves. Because I don't think there's a manual save in the game at all.
Hey, every video game ever, make fast travel cause an autosave to happen.
Yes,
it's weird it doesn't cause an autosave. It is weird.
Oh my goodness. Well, all right, let's move on to the next segment right here. We're going to talk about the overall presentation of the game. You know, that includes sound, visuals, cinematography, as we learned about a little bit before. And I'm going to kick this one off real quick. I mean, surface level thoughts, it's a beautiful looking game. The soundtrack is stunning. I actually did not know that Gordy Hobb even like was on the game, because I thought, oh, they just took John Williams' score and just incorporated it into the game.
That's fair to think that, because it is on point.
Oh, he fucking nails it. It's great.
Yeah.
I also, a little fun fact of some of the stuff that I looked up here, Troy Baker was not the first choice as Indy for this game.
Oh,
and
really?
I actually think Troy did a really good job in this. I know he's kind of like I made that Chris, I don't know if it was on or off mic, but like Chris Pratt joke earlier. Oh yeah, I did, with Shia LaBeouf. He's kind of like the Chris Pratt of like video game voice actors, in the sense that he's just everywhere, and sometimes that can rub people the wrong way, in the sense like he's like, oh, he's in this too. But I have to give him credit here. I think he did a really good job as Indy. It did not feel like Troy Baker. It felt like Indiana Jones. And he got the role. The only reason he even got the role, there's a couple reasons for it. The director of the mocap unit, their director for that, wanted him for it initially, and Troy turned it down twice. And he even offered other people. He's like, hey, these people would be great for it. Now, this is all from Troy's. Troy said this in an interview, so this is from his accounting of it. But he, after asking like a third time, he's like, I will send you a tape of it, and if you like it, if you think I'm for the role, fine. But it's no big deal. They did a blind test where the producers of the game listened to all, like, him and the other actors who went for it, and Troy apparently won every single time. And when they brought him in to say, like, ask him like, hey, would you do this, Todd Howard, according to Troy, said that he didn't want him for the role, but but Troy won him over with those blind tests.
Like, I get why people complain about Troy Baker. I was just joking, because I'll say the games I've played where he's like prominently in them, I think he does a great job. Like,
he's a good actor, right?
Like Tales of Vesperia as Yuri, he's great. Persona 4 as Kanji, he's amazing. Even like Joel in The Last of Us, I think he did a great job with that as well. I mean, I forget the name of the character, but he's like Booker DeWitt in BioShock Infinite. That's him.
That was the first and only cosplay I ever did. I was obsessed with BioShock Infinite.
It's a great game. If you want to know my opinions, go listen to BioShock Infinite on Fine Time, where me and Dre talk about it. Anyways, so he's done a lot of stuff, right? But with Great Circle, I would make the argument this is his best performance in a video game, because his voice work for Harrison Ford is dead on. Like, if you didn't know any better, you would swear it's Harrison Ford. Like, you can tell he studied like the voice and got like the cadence down, like the pronunciation, like to the point of like when you compare it, like Troy's voice to Harrison's voice, it is so 1-to-1. It's crazy. Troy's voice does slip. Like, there are moments where you're like, you can tell it's Troy Baker, But if you weren't paying attention, I think you would just assume it's Harrison Ford. I mean, even Harrison Ford said he did a fantastic job.
Something that, and I'll throw it over to you in a second, Troy. Something that like our Troy, not Troy Baker.
Is Troy Baker here?
What's happening? Something that Troy said in his interview was that when he was trying to figure out the voice for Indy, it wasn't so much of figuring out a voice, it was figuring out the mannerisms. And that was what led more to finding out. Because if you watch like interviews with Harrison Ford, he kind of mumbles a lot. He just kind of goes,
did you see the, it was, sorry to intervene, but did you see the Game Awards thing where they brought Harrison Ford on? Right. And he kind of sounded drunk, where he's like, I want to congratulate these two guys. They did a great job on the Great Circle. He sounded like kind of drunk. But yeah, he talked about how like impressed he was with how he got it down like perfectly. And yeah, like Harrison Ford, yeah, the famous like, I don't give a fucking shit anymore or whatever. I'm just doing this for the money. You know, that kind of thing, which is great. I love it. I fucking love Harrison Ford. He's great. And Indiana Jones is like one of the few old things he did that he's still genuinely proud of. Like, I think he doesn't give two shits about Han Solo, but
it's because the fans probably ruined it for him. Not trying to like make fun of the fans of Star Wars.
Well, and I think his relationship with Lucas kind of soured over the years. But if you ask him about Indiana Jones, he still like holds it very near and dear to his heart. So I think it's because he was the lead actor.
Yeah, probably his own shit, not something he has to share.
Exactly.
So Troy, what are your
thoughts?
Troy? Yeah, fellow Troy. What are your thoughts on the overall, like, you know, like we're going, whether it's visuals, music, voice performance? What are your thoughts on the overall like visual and audio presentation of the game?
I think they nailed making it feel like an Indiana Jones adventure. I think I forgot about it not being Harrison Ford. Not like I was tricked, but it was Indiana Jones to me. And this performance worked for me as a performance of Indiana Jones. I wasn't like ever pulled out of it by the performance. There were definitely certain lines and stuff where I'm like, but for the most part, it just all worked for me. And you get a lot of it too, because Indy is constantly muttering to himself in this game. In a way that works, unlike in games like Horizon or even God of War, where the characters are constantly telling you what you're supposed to be doing. In this game, I sometimes didn't understand the puzzle because I'm not Indiana Jones. And then Indiana Jones would be like, I should look where that light is over there. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll look where that light is over there. So it worked for me in this game. It just felt... The hint system felt like Indy just talking to himself, which again is kind of the thing that I keep circling back to, is it just integrated into the story or into the world really, really well.
Like, one thing that bugs me about modern games is like that hint system, because there are way too many games I play now where it's like the main character doesn't shut the fuck up. Like, you get to a puzzle and almost immediately they're like, oh, I should put this here and that'll solve the thing. And it's like, I've been here 10 seconds. Like, can I figure it out, please? But this game does a great job of that, where it lets you figure it out. And then after a good couple minutes, if you're struggling, Indy will say like, maybe I should do this. Maybe like it gives you a hint, but it doesn't give you the solution.
Didn't have candles, so that candle was suspicious. But it's like, that's what he does in the movies too. Like, anytime Harrison Ford's Indy is solving a problem, he's kind of talking it through, usually because there's a character there he needs to explain it to, who serves as the audience surrogate. And in this, sometimes he's explaining it to the side character. I forget her name and I feel bad because I really like her. Gina? Is it Gina?
Gina.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Gina.
I like her a lot. And oftentimes he's explaining things to her, but even when no one's around, it's just like, I'm kind of used to Indiana Jones muttering through a problem as he solves it. So it just, it fits really well here.
It's that thinking aloud that a lot of people do.
Yeah. So I think they just nailed it. Like this game absolutely looks and feels like an Indiana Jones experience, not like a movie necessarily, because it's first person, but it feels like you're in that world.
They did a lot of stuff too with like in the cutscenes to also film those, like I mentioned before with how they filmed the actual like mocap stuff, but like you can even see in the cutscenes like it paid off when you got to them. Like the lots of silhouettes of Indy, lots of like shots of him just kind of like even how they chose camera angles for conversations. The dialogue was written very much like an Indiana Jones movie. They really nailed so many different aspects of it. And I think what makes this game so interesting and like so great is that the commitment to making the game feel like Indiana Jones, both in character, in terms of tone of movie and cinematography, like everything was like, this has to feel like Indiana Jones. It can't be a game with Indiana Jones in it. It has to be Indiana Jones. And like if they would have just made an Uncharted clone but told it with Indiana Jones, it would not work nearly as well. Even
Yes.
even if it was just like not a one-to-one clone, but like a very similar gameplay style, right? Like just as competently made, really well, like really well paced, like really well acted. Like let's say it's firing on all cylinders, just like an Uncharted game is, right? I still don't think it
That
would
would
have worked as
be
well. You're not
yeah.
Uncharted. What? Sorry.
I was gonna say that could be a good video game, but it wouldn't
Yes,
be this video game. It wouldn't be
exactly.
special.
This feels like they took every element of Indiana Jones, what the character, the storytelling, the dialogue, the movies and the cinematography, and were like, how can we translate that into a game? And they honestly knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, like I think if they had just done the Uncharted clone with Indiana Jones, like it would have been fine, but I think it wouldn't have. It would just kind of faded into the background. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
Whereas I feel like this game, it does more unique things to make itself stand out. To where, even after I beat the game in December, like I still think about it. I've still like occasionally hop in and try to knock out some achievements, and still recommend the game like crazy. And I think if they wanted to do like an Uncharted style Indiana Jones game, it would have been like that Staff of Kings thing. I think they kind of missed their chance to really do it,
Mm-hmm.
to where like nowadays it would be too predictable. So
Yeah.
I'm glad they did not go the predictable route.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and graphically, yeah, I think the game looks really nice.
Beautiful.
I like that id Tech engine is fantastic. Like I think like the Doom games run on it as well. Like I think id is one of the few companies that still uses their own like in-house engine, and it's like really really fucking good. So, and I hope they stick with it because yeah, like the model for Harrison Ford is on point. As we talked about, the lighting is fantastic. The music is also fantastic. Like as we
Mm-hmm.
said, like with Gordy Hobb doing the soundtrack, it has those Indiana Jones moments, those iconic John Williams moments, but it also has a little bit of its own personality in there as well to help it like stand out in certain areas. So it captures that essence, but it's not copying it. It's doing a new version of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I only have this. This doesn't really tie into the overall look and feel of or the overall aesthetic or presentation, but something that I didn't get to bring up earlier, and I just kind of want to touch on quick before we get to the story section, and the spoiler wall, which will be coming soon, listeners. So if only an hour and 30, almost 40 minutes into the recording, just about, after some editing, where it's going to be a little bit shorter, but one thing I wanted to bring up, and it doesn't really. I'll just fuck it. I'll just dive into it. I remember when this game got announced, it also was announced the same, like around the same time. I might have been in the same presentation, but I think it was around the same time that they announced Project 007 from
right.
the team that does Hitman, right?
Yeah.
IO Interactive, IOI, yeah.
Yep.
And I remember I was completely like floored. I was so excited. I was just beyond excited for both of these because when I saw, Indiana Jones, okay, this might. At first, when I saw it was Indiana Jones, I was like, actually, sorry. At first, I saw the Bond one. I'm like, oh fuck, it's James Bond. I can't wait for a new Bond game. Huge James Bond fan. Like, I'm so excited for it. And the last one, it's been a while since we've gotten one. I think 007 Legends was the last official
that piece of trash.
game. And and so I've been looking forward to it, and they're still working on it. IO Interactive, I still see them I don't know if it's a good sign or bad sign, but they are constantly posting about hiring
Hey,
for
listeners,
it.
future Josh here.
So,
editing
that's a
room
common
Josh
thing with
over
games
here.
these days.
Yeah,
This
so
episode
I'm
was
hoping
recorded
that
before
it comes
IO
out soon. But
Interactive
I'm
showed
honestly
the new
the only
trailer
thing
for the
that
new
disappoints
James
me about
Bond
Indiana
game. In fact,
Jones is
it was
that
like
this game,
just a
that
couple
the James
days
Bond
after
game also
recording,
didn't
maybe
come
like a
out at
week
the
or
same
so
time because they got
after
announced
recording this,
like at
that
the,
they
on the
shared
almost did the
the
same
trailer.
week or
So
same presentation
who
or
knows?
something.
Maybe we
But
predicted
then
it
with
was
Indiana Jones,
something
I
was in the
remember
wind
seeing
with
like,
this. You know,
okay,
maybe we
Indiana
blew the
Jones,
winds
it's an IP,
towards Bond
it's
by
a
accident.
licensed
In
game,
any
so
case,
this is going
just
to
wanted
be
to give
hit or
that
miss.
disclaimer. Back
We'll
to the
see what they
episode.
can do. And then they said it was from Machine Games, and I went, holy fuck, I'm in. Because I already played the Wolfenstein games, and I loved them. I had no idea how they were going to translate it to Indiana Jones, like their style of gameplay. But man, it is like it's night and day. It is so different, and I just had to share the story because like I this game to me is synonymous with Project 007, which as of now doesn't even have like a release year, let alone a
I don't
date.
think we haven't
It
seen
was-
any footage of the game.
There's
Nothing.
No,
none.
but it was just in a showcase recently, within the last couple months.
The Switch 2.
There was
direct.
it the Switch 2 one? That's what I was.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Because they said
And
it's
it
gonna
was
come to
literally
Switch 2
just
as well.
just a JPEG basically of the logo.
Yeah, just
But it's like,
reminding
okay,
us that it's
proof
a
of
thing.
life.
It was funny when they did that, and some people like treated it as if this was getting announced for the first time, and it's like,
Yeah.
no. This was announced in like 2020, but that's probably why people forgot because it was 2020. Because it's been like 5 years, and we still haven't seen anything from the game. But
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
this conversation
much-
has actually it's made me a little bit concerned about Project 007 just because we've
I'm not.
talked so much about how what makes this game work is that it doesn't quite feel like any other game and it captures the Indiana Jones stuff so well, whereas Hitman, like Hitman's not exactly what a Bond game should be, but you could so easily just drop Bond into a Hitman game that I really wonder what the Bond game's going to end up being.
I think
yeah.
if they were just gonna do Hitman but with a Bond skin, they would have done it by now.
Yeah.
And my guess is they probably have that expectation on them, and they're like, we need to do other things, and we need to figure out how to make this more than just like a Hitman clone. But I have all the confidence in IO. They're a fantastic developer,
Mhm.
and I'm more of a James Bond fan than an Indiana Jones fan, and
Same.
and I've played almost every James Bond game. So I've
Shout out to
seen.
Nightfire, best game IMO.
I'm an
Nightfire
everything.
rules.
I'm an
Hey,
everything
forget
or
this
nothing kind
episode.
of guy.
Let's start over and do an episode about Nightfire.
I'd rather talk about everything or nothing. That's my favorite. That's probably like the second best Brosnan movie.
Everything
But,
or Nothing is also great.
No,
I love
it's
both
the-
of those.
Pish,
I
I
love that
will
one.
I will die on the hill that The World's Not Enough is his best one.
Oh, the movie.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
that's another podcast. But like,
Yeah.
anyways, like I think IO, like the most recent Hitman games have been fantastic. Like IO are just really hitting on all cylinders, and I think they realize they've been given a golden opportunity with James Bond, and they're like, this is like a perfect marriage. And I get the sense that MGM and Amazon and Eon and all them are being like, hey, we'll help you pay for it. Take your time because we want this to be done right, because the Activision era really hurt Bond in the game field. Like
It's
the Quantum of
so-
Solace game was fine. I have a soft spot for Bloodstone, but
Bloodstone's pretty good.
Legends was not good at all.
It's so
And
funny to think that the EA era of something was the best version of something.
Oh yeah, the EA era was fantastic. Oh my god.
Oh, it's so weird.
But yeah, like I have all the hope, I have all the faith in the world that IO is going to knock out Project 007, and it's going to be like its own thing, its own vibe. I'm buying it day one. I don't give a shit. I'll pay $80 for this. Fuck. And And I'm hoping it's a fantastic game. I think they can knock it out of the park. I just need to see some gameplay. I want to see what it
Yeah.
looks like, how it's going to play. It's going to be very Hitman influenced, but we know there's going to be more, like there'll probably be more shooting segments, more like driving segments, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And if they can really nail those parts, I think they will make a banger on the level of like a Great Circle, I think.
And you know what? Like, no one would have expected machine games to deviate so far from their formula,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So like most like my hope would be IO sees what machine games did with this and be like, oh fuck, they're known for like this zany over the top first person shooter frenetic like in the same vein as like Doom 2016 almost. Not
Yeah.
quite as like as Boomer Shooter esque, but anyway, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
They did that with, and they completely changed their formula for this. And if they haven't already, I would assume they're not trying to just do Hitman with Bond, but we'll see what happens. So
Yeah.
let's move on
Fuck
to
GoldenEye on
What?
N64. Fuck it.
What?
Overrated. Overhyped.
Well, overrated, sure.
no,
Sorry,
on N64 was a better
I just wanted to
game.
throw that out there. I'm sorry.
in my
It's
opinion,
it's
it's
a
not even
fine
the best Bond
game.
game on the 64.
It's
Yeah, World is not enough is better.
game. I just don't understand why people rate it as like one of the best video games ever made.
It's nostalgia. And that's fine. Like I'm not even trying to be like dismissive of it, but like nostalgia is one hell of a
Game
drug.
Boy James Bond game. It's pretty dope. It's a Zelda clone.
It actually is. It's a really good
It's
game.
cool. It's really cool. I have a physical of it. It's really cool.
But all right, so let's move into our final segment of the episode. This is the spoiler wall, listeners. So if you have not played this game and you don't want to know how, like, where Indy goes, we didn't mention the last two locations. We didn't mention many of the other characters. We didn't mention. I guess we should at least say who the main villain is. We never mentioned him once in the first hour and 45 minutes. His name's Emmerich Voss. That's not really much of a spoiler.
He's in the trailers.
He's in the trailers. So we are now transitioning over to the So we are now transitioning over to the spoiler wall. We're going to be spoiling the story. We're diving in. Let's get started, y'all. I'm going to real quick, though. I have one sentence I want to say, and I'm going to throw it over to you, Troy, to kick us off. Fucking Noah's Ark, man. Fucking Noah's Ark.
They were like, all right, the thing you were talking about earlier about in animation, you can do anything. They were like, in video games, we can have the artifact be anything we want. Let's make it real fucking big.
I love it.
It was a left turn I was not expecting.
I did not expect Noah's Ark
we were going to be going to goddamn Noah's Ark. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
And I'll be honest, I don't understand what happened at the end of the game. I'm not exactly sure why it needed to be Noah's Ark, but there it was. It's real big. They have to pull it with trains. It's great.
Well, how they describe it is that like all of like the Great Circle connections, it's because it's related to the Great Flood. And
okay.
And like Noah had to use the power of the Great Circle to travel around the world to get all of the animals to build the ark. That was the idea. But there was like say at the start when Indy, like that guy is raiding Marshall College, and it's just like real giant guy played by Tony Todd in his last role. Yeah.
Yeah.
You find out his name is Locus. I hope I'm saying that right. And he's part of this like these giants, like these like huge
Nephilim.
men. Yeah, the Nephilim, and their mission is to protect all of the artifacts of the Great Circle so that this power doesn't get used again.
From what I remember, the Nephilim they're half human, half angel in mythology. They're half human. They're angels that bred with humans and created the Nephilim, the race of giants, and in this game, it posits that they are atoning for the sins of their forefathers, right? Like the Nephilim are an abomination to everything. So it is their sacred sworn duty to protect this site in like almost like the name of God to atone for their past. And so when you were saying, Troy, like I didn't quite understand the ending where you see, fucking Locust drive the ark into who knows where, you don't know.
A portal.
I don't think you're supposed to know specifically, But what I love about that ending is the look of peace on his face, even though he's like the way it pauses that like electricity shooting through his body, right? Like this is probably extremely painful and difficult for him to do. But I love
he's achieving his purpose, man.
He's achieving his purpose, and he's at peace. He's like, I'm finally atoning for what my ancestors did, and that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I think it's related to like, you know, God, like why he chose to flood the earth in the Bible and all that kind of stuff. And naturally, like the Nazis are trying to use this power to be able to like, I think it's so they could teleport all around the world and like invade like much faster. That's sort of the idea. And yeah, they get, you know, thwarted naturally. And yeah, it's just it reminds me of Raiders, like the crazy fucking ending of Raiders with the Ark of the Covenant, where it's like oh, they open this and all these fucking ghosts come out and melt everybody's faces. You know, it's a similar thing where it's like it starts like raining and lightning and everything, and like the whole idea is like if you use the power of the ark, you will be judged by God, and if God judges you negatively, he will incur your wrath. And that's kind of what happens when like things go fucking haywire at the end, and you have to fist fight him on the top of a storming ark.
Yeah.
Like it's not like as a fight, it's nothing that special, but it's trying to have that kind of cinematic quality around it, which makes up for it a little bit.
The main thing I remember from that fight is there's a sequence where you like both fall off the edge and you're both hanging from the whip.
Yeah,
and you have to kick each other or something. And I think you have to like look up and then Gina helps you or something.
Yeah, it's a little weird at the end.
I think I spent way too long kicking him on the whip because I didn't understand how
I
to
did
exit
fail the
that
first
segment.
time. Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
Same.
But it's fine. It's like it's not a good boss fight, but again, this isn't a game that's been about the combat, so
no. So
no, and the boss fight isn't good. It doesn't really. The only way this boss fight is good is if you spent a lot of time on the brawler segments in the game, which we didn't even touch on, like the little like
the little boxing rounds.
Yeah,
the boxing
rings. The
those are.
Rings.
I completed the one in the Vatican. That one actually wasn't too bad, but the one in Giza, I cannot get past the first fucking guy, and I've tried it like dozens of times. I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong. They can be kind of rough because you have to like parry at the right time, and then like you can't wail. Like if you start wailing on him, he'll just clear you.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's why I lost every time.
So you have to like time it to where it's like, oh, you do the block and then the parry, so you can get a couple free hits in. It's a bit more timing based in that regard. And the boss battle has a bit of that in there, so you would get better at it. But
I died a lot.
It's very satisfying to punch Emmerich Voss in the face repeatedly because
he's a good fucking villain.
Such a good
great
villain.
He reminds me of, I forget his name in Raiders, the dude in the hat. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the dude with the thing on his hand.
Hold on.
What's his name?
Renee.
No, that's Belloc.
No, that's
Renee Belloc. That's not him. It's I don't remember. I'll look it up too. No,
his name was Ronald Lacey, the actor.
It's Major Arnold Todt.
Major Arnold Todt. Okay.
Wow, I never would have gotten that.
I wouldn't have gotten it either. I just recognized his face.
He's a fantastic villain. Love him. And Voss reminds me of him.
Yeah. But without just being a copy of him. He's his own guy,
exactly.
Just enough to be interesting. And he just sucks so much. He's so very punchable. So it's so satisfying to get to that.
I love that scene when you see it in the trailer where he's talking to Indy when he bury him in the sand, you know, and then he headbutts him and all that. Like that part is great. And then seeing the context of that scene when you get to it in Giza is fantastic. Because we talked about Vatican City and Giza, which are like the first two main areas that are really good. Giza, like you can go into like the Sphinx and there's like a whole tomb under there. You can go into the pyramids. And then there's the third main area, the how do you pronounce this? Sukhothai? I probably said that wrong.
It's as close as
Sukhothai?
Sure. White. I'm sorry.
In the third temple?
But that third area, it's like grassy and there's like, and you have to use the boat everywhere.
It's like a lovely jungle environment. It's beautiful. And the sound design is great. There's some great puzzles in this area, but you have to drive that damn boat.
And Gina's always with you on the boat. every time.
Which is fine. I like Gina, but
Yeah,
I just didn't like the boat.
This is
Yeah.
sorry. This because I was going down the rabbit hole of who that fucker was. Major Arnold Todd or whatever. Did you guys? I am my mind is fucking blowing up right now. Did you know Alfred Molina was in Raiders?
Yeah, he's in the intro. He's in the
I
game.
had no idea.
He's the guy who betrays Indy.
Yeah.
The throw me the idol, throw me the whip.
It's
That's Alfred Molina.
Okay, according
Yep.
to Wikipedia, it's his first movie credit. But like,
Oh yeah.
there's usually more on IMDb. I had no goddamn idea.
Honestly, I probably would not have pulled that it was him, except for when I heard, I think it was Giant Bomb, I heard talk about the Raiders intro. They talked about Alfred Molina being in there. So I probably wouldn't have known if I hadn't heard them talk about it. And then
That's
once they talked about it, I went and looked up Raiders and was like,
I-
that is Alfred Molina.
I think they brown faced him a little bit because he's a white man, and here he looks looks a little. It's not, you wouldn't notice it if you weren't paying attention, but you look at a picture of him now and compare it to there, and it's like, I think they brown faced him.
He has 4 credits prior to Raiders. He was in 2 episodes as a waiter of a TV show called Bognor. He had an uncredited role of a port official in a movie called A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square. He was also in a movie called,
but I know the title.
The Song of the Shirt. No idea what that's about. And
it's a song about your shirt, man.
His first credit,
my shirt.
It was a TV show, but so it's showing the year the TV show started. So I don't know when he was actually in it, but it's just called The Losers, and he plays a character named Nigel for 6 episodes.
All right.
Cool.
There we go. That's your Alfred Molina digression. We get one every episode.
A Molina minute.
A Molina minute. Holy shit! There you go. A Molina minute.
Give me a whip, editor. Thank you.
But okay, sorry. Back to the game.
So that third area is it's a little too big, I think, especially when you have to use your boat everywhere. It has the best fast travel of all of them, in my opinion. Like, I think it's the easiest to find all the fast travel bits to go through, though.
Oh yeah, because you can just like call the radio or whatever.
Oh yeah, and she'll just show up, which is great.
I think for me, like the Sukhothai or Siam was which it's not even called Siam anymore. What's that area of the world actually called? It's Thailand. It's just Thailand.
Oh, okay.
At least when you Google Siam and it comes up, Siam is the former name of Thailand and used to refer to the historical region of central Thailand. This is according to Wikipedia. So there we go. That section, like, I liked visually just because I like jungle. I've always been a fan of like jungle environments. Like, just, I don't know, even as a kid, that was always something I just thought was cool. Like, I liked the greenery of it. So I always enjoy seeing it in games, but it is very tedious to travel around. It's slow paced. It does have some cool, like, it's fun to explore all the different ruins and everything, but this was the only area I could not find like an enemy uniform to like hide myself with. I guess I could look it up and try to figure it out.
It's hidden in a weird spot. Like, it's you wouldn't know unless you went out of your way for it.
It is on the wrong side of a giant encampment where, like, you would never come in on the side where the uniform is. So it makes it very hard to find because you get to like the middle of the encampment where there's a lot of interesting stuff and you stop there to do all the interesting stuff.
It's in like it's in a little spot where you would normally hide, and you just look at a table that's just right there.
It's just right. Yeah. It's like when
oh shit, okay.
I like looked up a guide to find it, and even with the guide, I was struggling to find it. And when I did get it, it was very much like, oh, there? Really? Okay.
hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
What was that sound?
I think my drink hit my mic stand.
Okay. Like, I've heard people bump their mic stands before. It like echoed. There was like reverb on that shit. That was wild.
Sample it.
Yeah, it's so surreal. That's staying in the cut. I don't care. That's wild sounding. But the last section of the game though is the Ziggurat of Ur. And I like it well enough for what it is. You know, it's a very brief
Iraq, right?
Yeah, it's in Iraq.
Yeah.
And it's a very brief like camp section that's kind of fun to explore, and then you get into the actual ziggurat itself and you traverse down, which some of the puzzles in that final section for some reason like didn't do it for me. I wish I could articulate why, but it's the elevator as you go down, how you have to like keep finding different
You
ways
have to,
down and then bring the
yeah.
elevator down with you.
Yeah, that was probably like the worst area in the game because it was just like it
I
was
think
linear, but it also just I didn't think it was super fun.
I was ready, not that I was like unhappy with the game, but I was ready to be done when I got to that point.
Yes.
And so
Yeah, for
anytime I hit
sure.
anything that slowed me down, I'm like, no, this is climactic ending. Like we gotta go.
Yeah. I feel that. We didn't talk about the other linear areas, Shanghai, and then the
Mm,
that
the ship
boat,
in the Himalayas.
the
Oh,
ship
I
in the
like the ship
Himalayas.
in the
Yeah,
Himalayas quite
the
a bit.
ship in
I
the
did not
Himalayas.
like
That was a
Shanghai.
fantastic section.
It
That's the
was
one where it's like you
spooky.
use the gun more than any other area in the game. And yeah, just that whole sequence of like sneaking onto it, and then the Nazis follow you, and then it causes like the ship to basically just slide through the Himalayas.
It was
Like
so cool.
that was a crazy climactic moment. That was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. I think I played through it a second time because it was so much fun. Shanghai is fine. Jumping from plane to plane was cool, but like once
Forgot
God, I forgot about that.
that part was cool, but
That's
once
so insane.
but once you crash, it's just kind of whatever at that point, for sure.
We spent the last 2 hours talking about how grounded Indy is as a character, and these motherfuckers put him running on the wings of planes, jumping from wingspan to wingspan.
I mean, there
But
are
I think
those moments in the movies, like
Yeah,
lest
that's
we forget in Temple of Doom when they jump out of the plane on that inflatable raft. We're not just
what's wrong with
sinking,
that? That's
we're
perfectly logical.
crashing. Like, come on.
It was like it's like it's like a stone skipping off the top of a fucking water or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all
how
it
that
was.
works. Yeah, that's how that works.
Indy,
Or
Indy
when he
to me
or when he
feels
flies off the tank in Crusade, where he's fighting the dude on the tank, and they just fly off, and it's like he just climbs back up. Like, oh, that sucked. It's like what? How'd you get off of that?
Indy feels to me like a very normal guy who does super heroic things. And the joke I've always had, and my buddy Eric jokes about it too, is that like Indy's luck stats are just off the charts, and that's why he does what he does, because he's got luck powers, and that works for me. That means that a very normal guy can run on the wing of a plane when he needs to, because that's what it's what he's got to do in that moment.
Unless you just reminded me of something that we touched on a while ago, but we didn't really dive into any further. But because Indy's a guy with luck who can run on a plane, and then it made me think of the first time he gets in a plane in the movie, and there's a snake in the plane, and he goes, "I hate snakes, Chuck," and then it reminded me of snakes and the snake boss.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It's a big snake.
It's a big snake.
Chases you underwater, and I don't like snakes a lot, and I don't like being underwater. And no, just no.
That was terrifying. That was in a good way. Like I think the tension was really good. I didn't enjoy the actual fight of the snake because you had to keep like it was like you're just biding time, waiting for it to open its fucking mouth, and then you could throw these.
And then you huck a spear in.
Yeah, right in there, right in the gullet. And I wasn't
And
a
then
fan
he
of that.
doesn't even die. He doesn't even have the decency to die, the big snake.
It takes like
He just
4
swims
of those
away.
things. It's obnoxious. Not a fan of that.
One thing I will say about the snake boss is I like how you get to the snake boss, like when you have to dive underwater and like sneak through all the little pillars so that he doesn't get you in time. Like that part is really cool. But yeah, once you get to the boss and you're just like chucking the spears at him, it feels just a little out of place. Like the whole snake boss is the most out of place thing in the entire game.
It felt
and it
the
just
most Zelda to me.
Yeah, that's the part where it's just like, this is a little weird, but sure, why not, right? Sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
It works for me, the snake boss, in terms of the mechanics of that fight. Like the chucking of spears actually it doesn't feel great, but like it feels better than the punching to me. So like mechanically, I kind of liked that boss fight, but it also, like I said, it very much was like, oh, this is them just doing Zelda. I've done this boss fight in Zelda games before.
Yeah, you can see some of the influences of other games on it.
Any other like I don't really know what else to say about in the spoiler section, except like I guess the one thing I want to kind of go back to is I really loved the connection between. I know we started off with it, but just to kind of like give my 2 cents on it. The Noah's Ark combined with the Great Circle thing, I really loved how they connected these two bits of mythology together.
Mm-hmm.
And how like the idea is like if you have one of the pieces of the Great Circle, because each of the locations within the Great Circle has like this random artifact that is written in Adamic, which is like this ancient like language
Yeah.
pre almost anything known. And you can read, if you read what it says, it does something. And so when you see it first on that frozen like that frozen Nazi ship up in the Himalayas, where like the Gina's sister, who we haven't really touched on, who you're also kind of chasing after,
Yeah.
you find out that she spoke it and it caused everything to happen, that they just suddenly were in the Himalayas.
Right.
And that's how
Yeah.
everyone died. And you get you kind of get the idea that like the only reason this didn't work is because you only had one, and you have less control over what happens. If you have all of them, you can go wherever. And I love this. Like, I'm just picturing, because you can see like how they bring Noah's Ark, they put the different pieces inside like the helm of like the steering wheel, the helm of the boat. And I'm just picturing like some buff old dude who's Noah just standing on there, like it's like a cover of a metal band, like of a metal album, and hair flowing in the wind, blowing in the wind, lightning striking the background, and he's just like, "I'm here to save the animals."
I think it's Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
Here I come to save the day.
The mighty Noah. Little did we know, it actually ties in with that what is that fucking NES, that unauthorized NES game, Noah's Ark, where you just
Bible Adventures.
You're thinking
Bible
of Bible
Adventures,
Adventures. Yeah. There is an NES game called Noah's Ark that was PAL only, where you play as like Noah. It's like a side-scrolling platform game made by fucking Konami, and it's actually not bad.
Well, it's because it's Konami. It's not fucking Wisdom
Tree. It's got a 6 soundtrack. Yeah, it's great. I have a soft spot for Bible Adventures on NES. Bible Buffet is actually kind of dope. There's a great book. I forget the name of the publisher who does like all the books based on games, but they did one on Bible Adventures.
No, it's probably Boss Fight.
Yeah, Boss Fight. Yeah, they did one about Bible Adventures. That's essentially the story of Wisdom Tree, like the history of the company. It is a fantastic read. I recommend it.
Grifters like Christians do, and I say that as a semi-one still.
It's an interesting read, just like the history of them and everything. I thought it was a fascinating book.
What's funny to me is like I'm amazed my parents didn't buy that for me. I grew up evangelical without realizing I grew up evangelical, where like I would go other places.
You American?
Well, it's not. No. There's a difference. Like if like Christian bands and like what is it? If like some of the like Christian media, I'm not talking about
VeggieTales.
VeggieTales broke into the mainstream. I'm talking more esoteric than that. Like fucking like the Donut Man was the one.
Donut Man,
Bible Man, which was just a shitty superhero. Donut Man was stupid. It was basically a dude who, like, out of context, that sounds like a pedophile name. I'm not gonna lie. Right. It's what it sounds like. But the whole purpose of it, his little shtick was he would hold up a donut and he's like, "This is your heart without Jesus, with a hole in the center of it. You're not a whole person because you don't have Jesus in your life." And then he would take a donut hole and put it in the center of the donut and be like, "This is your life with Jesus."
That's not even how donuts work. You didn't put the hole back in the donut.
If only you had a camera, you could see how much I'm fucking cringing right now.
Oh my god!
And also, you put a donut hole in your heart, dude. I'm gonna get diabetes. Are you saying God is gonna kill me with that? Is God Wilford Brimley?
Is God Wilford?
Yeah, Cocoon.
It's just really funny because like I didn't realize I grew up with it. It was just so normal to me, and then all of a sudden I would hear other people saying like, "I never heard of that," or I would hear other evangelicals being like, "Oh man, this and this." I'm like, Holy shit! I
I'm
grew up
sorry. Did you
evangelical.
just say ex-vangelicals?
Yeah,
I did not
evangelical.
know there was a word for it, but I
There
love
is
it.
a
That sounds like
whole
a
group of us,
'90s grunge band.
right? Oh man, I mean, hey man, there is a Christian parody band called Apologetics that was really big. That was
I love it.
instead of, you want to get this, instead of Barbara Ann by the Beach Boys, it was Bah, we're lambs because we're all lambs of God. Get it?
Oh
I,
no.
did you know that Barbara Ann by the Beach Boys is a cover?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was originally done by a band called the Regents.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, but
I
then
didn't
they
think of
covered it
Barbara
a
Ann,
couple
did they?
years later. Well, they covered it a couple years later on their like Beach Boys Party album, which is just like them like sitting at couches playing like cover songs and all that. So
Ah, good to know.
I'm a bit of a Beach Boys fan. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. I admire passion, even if I'm not the only Beach Boys thing that I can relatively reference is when they did a parody of Beach Boys in the movie Top Secret. You ever
Oh
see?
yeah, yeah.
If everybody had a 12 gauge and a surfboard too, we go surfing and shooting down in Malibu.
It's good stuff.
It's phenomenal. But all right, we after that Christian digression.
Well, it fits with Indiana Jones, you know.
Yeah,
Digression?
but to bring it back to what I was talking about with the Noah's Ark thing and everything, I loved how all that connected, and how, like, once again, that very poetic ending of Locust like getting his his the justice he wants, like the sense of peace in his life, that I finally fulfilled my mission, is just it. I love that blend of like mythology and a little bit of sci-fi there too. It's great.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Do you guys know the secret ending?
I do not.
I do not.
So there's apparently, if you put all of the relics into like the little wall puzzle in a rock.
Oh, I saw that. I never did all the relics.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
So if you do that, you get a little extra at the end, which I think is leaning towards the DLC, because they announced that they're doing a DLC for this and it's coming out sometime this year. My guess is it'll get like shown at the June showcase, the June Xbox showcase, and probably get a release date for later in the year. But basically, what you find is there's a hidden mural, and the mural shows that all the locations on the Great Circle point directly toward the South Pole. And there's and then you see like, and you see the ark, and then it's like in the snow, and you see some like footprints like going away from it, which I think is suggesting that Locust actually survived the whole thing.
Oh
Interesting.
shit!
Yeah, so it's a little hint, I think, at the DLC. That's
I wonder if that
it's called the
means
Order of
they.
Giants.
I wonder if they had all of his stuff produced before he
Yeah, it was.
passed.
That'll
Yeah,
be interesting, yeah, to see what
Yeah.
they do with it. Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, if not, like, it is what it is. But that'd be really cool if that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we should probably start wrapping this up, though. Where I think with some behind the
We're over
scenes.
2 hours.
Yeah, we're over 2 hours. We're over 2. I think that does Indy some justice with this. So we're going to give our final thoughts, and I will go first because I want to give you, my guest, the final say, and I'll keep mine brief. This game's great. It's a lot of fun. It fires on all cylinders. I was very pleasantly surprised by it. It was actually one that it took a little bit to grow on me because it wasn't what I was expecting, and I was disappointed by that. But once I got over that initial, like, oh, this isn't just Uncharted, which why would I assume that? That's a dumb expectation to have. But once I got over that and I got to appreciate what the game was trying to do, I was hooked on it. I really enjoyed my time with it. And if y'all haven't played it yet and you're still here even after the spoiler wall, go give it a play. I was going to say go give it a watch. Well, you could do that too, but play it. It's great. So, Thrak, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Well, I'm basically going to surmise my little blog post, because if you guys go to the SuperPod Network, I wrote a whole blog about this game in like late December, early January. So if you want more of my thoughts, you can read them there. But I'll surmise my thoughts that I said at the end of it. And that was, despite some issues, I ended up having a great time with the game. I was surprised at how much the game hooked me, and I could not stop playing it until the credits rolled. Machine Games is able to branch out with quite possibly the best Indiana Jones game ever made, which I think is saying something. For most of the year of 2024, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth was my game of the year, despite some major issues I had with that game, but that's another story. I wasn't sure what to expect with The Great Circle, but it ended up eclipsing Infinite Wealth to become my game of the year for 2024. It came in late and it came in hot, and I loved it. I hope Machine Games is able to follow up on this and create more indie games with some stronger combat mechanics, more fun puzzles to do, and tombs to raid. If you have Game Pass, I cannot recommend enough that you play this game.
All right. Troy, your final thoughts.
I pretty wholeheartedly agree. I think this game is wonderful. I think it captures Indiana Jones exceptionally well, and I would absolutely, if they announce a sequel to this or whenever that DLC is coming out, like I'm absolutely going to be there for it. I think it's a very, very fun game. I think it has a few pretty loud flaws. That the boat being the biggest of them. I hate that boat, and it seems like everyone hates that boat. But what is impressive to me is that despite those few very loud things that there seems to be consensus on not being good, everybody seems to agree that the game overall is just phenomenal.
It's funny you bring up the boat, and I think that even the devs knew it, because every time you get in the boat with Gina, Indy says something like, one of the common lines that he repeats is like, "I'll get used to it. We're going to be in here for a while." And she goes, "Do you think so?" And I feel like the devs knew, hey, this would have been a little bit too much boat, a little too much boat.
A little too much time in a boat.
But
Other than that, very good video game.
I get motion sickness in a boat.
well, I feel bad for you with that section of the game.
In video games, it's fine.
But all right. Well, that is all the time we have for this episode of Still Loading. Thank you all so much for listening. This was a great discussion. I was so happy with how this episode turned out, and hopefully I'll be playing some more newer games from this year, and I'll do some more covering it on the show. But before we go, I want to give my guests the floor to shout out what they do, and if they are to be found online, where can they be found online? So Thrak, we'll start off with you. Where can the good people find you online, and what would you like to promote?
Well, as said before, I am the co-host of the 3DO Experience. So if you enjoy my sultry tones, be sure to tune into that podcast every week, where we discuss the wild and wacky world that is the 3DO, the company, the games, and just kind of other stuff as well. And that is part of the Superpod Network, which is a great little indie network of various podcasts like the Superpod Saga, Fine Time, Bar Silence, and tons more. I've guested on a good chunk of them, and a bunch of them have guested on our show as well. So just go to the Superpod Network. It's a great site with a lot of great people on there, and I write blogs on there. So if you want to read my thoughts on Indiana Jones, Doom the Dark Ages, Echo the Dolphin, or whatever, go there. So yeah, and thank you for having me, Josh. I will return when we talk about Project 007.
All right. Troy, what about you? Where can the good people find you online, and what would you like to promote?
My flagship podcast, I guess, is TroytlePower Presents the Power Playthroughs podcast with TroytlePower hyphen Let's Play Video Games. It's like Twitch for your ears. It's a podcast where I play games and tell you what's happening in them as I play them. I'm close to finishing Oracle of Ages in a playthrough that's taken me like 2 years. And then I also sample a lot of new games, indie games, as they come out, and oftentimes as publishers are kind enough to send me code to play them. So it's a mix of Game Boy Advance games usually, and then modern games, modern indie games. And then
Love the Game Boy Advance.
If you don't count the Switch, it's my favorite system of all time. And then I write over at Geek to Geek Media. So you can find reviews over there at geek2geekmedia.com. And then also I want to shout out Super Switch Club and Podcasters Assemble, which are two community podcasts I'm a part of, where people all dig through a piece of content and then send in their thoughts on it. And then our editors edit everybody's thoughts together into a weird kind of documentary style narrative of everyone's experiences with a game or a movie, which is very cool. And over on Podcasters Assemble, we've covered the Indiana Jones movies already, so you can go listen to a whole bunch of very clever people have their thoughts put together by very clever editors on Podcasters Assemble. And there's a Discord for that, which is what I would really promote, is listen to the podcasts and then go to probablywork.com to join our Discord, because there's just wonderful people in there. And then once you join, you will inevitably get bullied into participating on the podcasts. Bullied positive in that instance. And then finally, I'm going to shout out that I'm on Blue Sky. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I'm on Blue Sky. And thanks to Blue Sky, I have become aware that there's a website called pixelogic.app, which has every single 5x5 nonogram Picross puzzle in existence on it. And there's a community process of solving them all. And I've solved 53 of them while we've been recording this podcast. And I don't think either of you have solved any. So you need to get on there and contribute. That's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
Send me the goddamn link. I'll help.
Picross puzzles.
And there it is in chat.
Oh yeah, thank you. Oh, and also yes, I am on Blue Sky as well. I do have a Twitter at Thrak94, but it has a bit of cobwebs on it. So if you go to Blue Sky, I'm at Thrak, so you can talk to me on there if you like.
All right.
I also have an Instagram at Thrak94. I have a Twitch that is a bit dusty as well at Thrak94, but I'll get back to that one day.
Well, for myself, you can follow me on Blue Sky mainly at stillloadingpodcast.com, on Twitch and Instagram at stillloadingpod, technically on Facebook at stillloadingpod because it just dumps all the stuff from Instagram automatically over there, but I'm technically over there. I used to be on Twitter, but fuck that place. So it's whatever. But I do stream on Twitch periodically, usually Saturday nights, and I stream over on Tuesday nights with my buddy Andrew over at the Experience Point at the EXP Point, where we do Talk Tuesdays, our weekly talk show where we just talk about the stuff we've experienced throughout the week. And then I just stream whenever else I have time available to me. At the time we're recording this, I streamed last night and 3 nights prior to that. So some weeks I'll stream a bunch and others I don't. But follow me over there and you'll know when I go live. So that's where you can find me online. If you want to support the show, if you like what you've heard and you want to support it, there's a bunch of ways you can do that. The easiest way to do that is just give it a 5-star rating and review on whichever podcasting app you use. It really helps people find the show and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. I like feeling warm and fuzzy. You can also support the show over on Patreon. We do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/stillloadingpod. For $1 a month, you get all the episodes a little bit earlier with better audio quality, as well as access to patron voting rights, which help guide the direction of the show. So if you want to help vote on future games that I cover on the podcast, you can do that for as little as $1 a month. For $3 a month, you get everything I mentioned prior, plus patron shoutouts, which you heard at the beginning of this episode. For $4 a month, you get everything else, all the previous years, plus 2 mini bonus episodes, which I don't know how many it'll be at the time this comes out, but it's well over 80 at this point, and they're at least 15 to 20 minutes long, so there's a lot of extra content over there. And for $5 a month, you get all of it. All the bonus content I've already mentioned, plus access to my monthly movie podcast, which the name changes every time I change the movie franchise that I'm talking about. But right now it's called Still Family, my monthly Fast and Furious movie podcast, where all the guests who join me aren't just friends, they're family. So if that interests you, that is all over at patreon.com/stillloadingpod. And yeah, that's it. That is all the time I have for you on this episode of Still Loading. Thank you all once again for listening. Thrak, Troy, thank you once again for joining me.
Thank you. This is really fun.
And with all that said, listeners, I will see you all next time. excited when I can talk about something that's a little bit newer, just because I don't completely pigeon my hole. Oh my God. That's going to go in the outtakes. Pigeon my hole is going to go.
We need a whip.
That's for
crack
later.
that.
Come on, that's after podcast time.
That's definitely going to go in the outtakes. If you are listening to this after the music, shoot me a message on Blue Sky and just pigeon my hole and let me know. Did you make it this far into the episode? We'll find out.
Just post publicly to Blue Sky and say, I
Pigeon
will
my
pigeon
hole.
your hole.
Oh my God. All right. Back into here.